Well, you thought that with Creator Series that it's just the Thursday Championship that solves itself and says, look, best creator goes out there and wins. But there is one still roadblock remaining before they reach that championship finale. There's no points on the line for it, but it is a showcase of what the likes of IMSA has with Joy of Joys here on iRacing. And this for your Creator Series is what Long Beach brings to the table. I'm Jake Sperry. That's John Harris, who's along with me. We've got 2 hours worth of racing coming up on the horizon, John. And critically, it's a free-for-all in the two classes. We've got GTPs, we've got GTDs out there, or GT3s, however you want to say it. But we've got those two categories out there saying around one of the tightest, trickiest street circuits on iRacing, go have a bit of a laugh.
You've got everything on this course, haven't you? Long braking zones, bumpy turns, lots of curbs, lots of walls, lots of blind corners, hairpins. I mean, there's everything to have in a single series race, and we make it multi-class, which is brilliant because the GT3 cars will be just, I won't say pins on a bowling alley, but potentially on a safety car restart if we ever get one. But it's going to be chaos, and that's why we love it.
And that chaos is there for your creators and for the creators of the community who are there, and those who are community entries that jump in. This is a real chance for them to say, look, we're part of this group. We are repping it for our group. And actually, this could be one of those days where if the creators of the community can get 2 wins compared to the iRacing creators of Creator Series, then it is a case of set yourself up and get ready. There is the fountain in all of its glory, looking to get itself set for running, or as it is now known, the Bubba Gump Fountain Club, as you run through turns 3 and turns 4 around this circuit, to say just how difficult of a track that you do get to run around at Long Beach, and one that has seen all sorts of racing go through. Just last week, Formula Drift was here out there bringing all of that sideways, as we saw just there. Perfect illustration. It's almost like we planned that. But ultimately, John, it also goes up to the likes of IMSA, and even IndyCar loves a good run at Long Beach.
Yeah, well, even back into the 70s, you had F1 racing here as well in 77, where Mario Andretti took the victory there. So this is kind of a course which is great to race at for multiple car classes. You know, it's got some tricky turns, but at the end of the day, it's kind of an old school track, which is more down to the driving than it is the car. That's the Legends car, I think, practicing something to get over the barriers. Maybe not a safety car restart, but the Legend car is making an attempt at cornering.
It is, and that is the choice of your unsafety car for today's action. And just note as we go into turn number 2 here at the end of practice, the O'Reilly's turn out here. Just look on the left-hand side in the catch fencing, because there's been a car that has been stuck up there for a little while. And hello, there's Flyers.
I'd love to know the story behind that one. That's an interesting place. I think something to do with the fountain has happened there. They're definitely in the catch fence, which is accepting its name today, that's for sure. It's pretty solid right there. But at least the driver, if it looks out the door, he can have a great view of the beach.
Yeah, very good look out there at Long Beach here on the west coast of the United States, about 50 kilometers out from the main slough of Hollywood out there. And so this is California's premier race. Oh, there's some troubles for the number 10 of Brendan Hyperstar. So the i5G machine upside down, and that is heading towards, I'm trying to work out how you've managed to do that, on the exit of turn 9 by the looks of things there, running through. So got into the side of B-Roy and then got absolutely sent to the moon. Those Michelin tires will not be happy with it. So ultimately, I would say a day like today, you got 5 fast repairs. So I think if we're seeing just that on an ordinary look down the inside, we might need all 5 for 2 hours of running. No lap count today, just pure time count is what they're running for.
Yeah, for sure. It's a track where you have to be really risky on the overtakes. You have to just show the nose and hope that the driver leaves you a little bit of space. We do see a lot of argy-bargy around here, and as you can see, the driving is just so tricky because there's a lot of trail braking and you want to get on throttle early. It's a kind of a 90-degree bend course, as I call it, where it's a lot of stop-starting, so traction is paramount to a great lap around here. You'll see a lot of drivers running the Porsche car for that reason. It's got great low-end grip and indeed great traction. So it'll be interesting to see also how traffic works out, because you've got the GT3s. Will it be that the GT3s will really get in the way? Oh, and that's how it happened. Oh, wow, the ricochet all the way into the fence. And B-Roy, I think, shown no quarter there by Brendan Hyperstar.
That's not just into the fence. That engine has been pierced by the catch fencing there, and there's not much it can do. Look, still there, still part of the fixture out there with about 5 seconds left in practice. So Brendan saying, that's all for me as we get ourselves set. Practice leader, Josh Merrin, in the number 53 machine, and looking to go out there and prove that today there is a lot that you can go and find in terms of outfit and understanding, as we will get ourselves now set for 15 minutes worth of qualifying. And critically, John, with GTP and GTD out there, open qualifying, they all have to share the same circuit.
And that's a lot of cars on track at the same time. And we know how people can get a little bit impatient during qualifying. So it's all about finding sort of the limits to get one lap in, let's say. You've got to find a clear bit of track, which I'm just thinking to myself while saying that, it's not really possible around here, because you've only got vision for, let's say, about 500 meters maximum down the start-finish straight, and the rest of it is kind of blind apart from Seaside Way, which is the back straight. And so it's going to be really, really tricky to find. I think it's just down to luck, really, around here. So a lot of people will go out early and just try and get some banker laps in. Also worth noting for qualifying, tyre warm-up is so difficult around this track with the stop-starting that, especially when you're bouncing around the circuit, you really never get the tyres up to temperature until you're about 15 minutes into your stint, which is about what the time we've got in qualifying.
Yeah, and we saw that, of course, earlier on here on the iRacing channel just last year from the IMSA Esports Global Championship around Long Beach, as there is Smileable out there. Paul Smith, for those who know, in commentary, as he absolutely plows it into the barriers, then through turn 8, a cheeky reset back to pits, and we'll try that one again and hope that nobody saw it. Sorry, Paul, we caught that one directly on camera there and sort that one out into progress. So that brand new cracked racing Porsche with the brand new livery on it looking absolutely beautiful as that works. Reska Kyoso out then looking for a first lap attempt around this circuit, the championship leader in half, with the likes then of those around being Ancephalosis. The team has done a wonderful job and squeaked out. Oh, a leapfrog over the top, why don't you? A massive, massive hit to start that lap. So we're not going to see it because DN Gal, the only community entry in GTPs, has absolutely blitzed it into the barriers at turn 1 there, the accurate turn.
Yeah, not ideal for sure. I mean, what can you do if you're in a car behind? You're already heavy braking and bumping on the curbs. I mean, if you want the incidents to happen, you want them to happen in qualifying or in practice. So it's not that bad, but for sure for Reska Kyoso, it'll be, why couldn't I arrive at the corner maybe 2 seconds later so I could actually avoid the incident? But yeah, that happens. That's Long Beach in a nutshell, and that's why drivers will just have to be very consistent around here. You have to note that every single time you go back to the pits, you have cool tyres, and so you remove a lap of potential in terms of your pace. So in terms of qualifying, you actually want to be out there doing laps and have maybe 5 laps of fuel in the tank to just carry on going round and warming up those tyres all the time.
Yeah, and so that warm-up, that carry-on, I think is going to be really critical. And so as they are setting themselves into play and saying, look, let's get these first times in. At the moment, Ben Serda, then the fastest of anybody, the only one able in that Corvette to move forward and set a time. And in fact, I would say that is as much of a wonderful WW2 inspired Corvette that is there and running and cannot get more American as it focuses. Punju, though, the fastest in your GTP field with GT3 there in that second category, led by Mia Rose now on a 1:20.160. But Punju then an 18 flat. So first lap's in, only 2 seconds worth of difference. And I think you're going to see a lot more difference out there because we're seeing drivers out there in the category. They did as low as a 113 in practice, so I don't think they're anywhere close to getting the tyres to a position where they're ready just yet.
Yeah, it's the case. I think the prototype cars are just a little bit harder compound effectively, so it takes them a lot longer to warm up the tire. The GT3s have a little bit of sliding to the driving style naturally with a lot less downforce, so it's a lot easier to warm up the tires there. Brendan Hyperstar 116.2, that's more like it, but there's still a few seconds to find out there, and you can see the confidence that you have to have pushing so much to the limit around the fountain. And even though you have to go into first gear, you kind of have to create a V shape around some of these corners to boot it out of the corner, get the best traction. At the end of the day, it's all about traction around here, especially if you want to do some overtakes.
Yep, so every overtake is going to be noted, it's going to be highlighted, and is going to be fought for strongly out there as B-Roy currently goes second on a 117.3. Reska, though, jumps to the top on a 115.7, so big lap times being found. Christoph in second position in GT3s with Mia Rose in control of category. Ben Serda third and Flyers in fourth position as things currently stack up. Here is Punju working then through of turn number 8 out there, which is known as the Yawava turn out there, or the Yamava turn out there on track. So going through, and which is normally the yellow ticket entry, already running through the Firestone turn at turn 9, and then working through to 10 and 11 as Brendan Hyperstar immediately lifts the bar higher and goes into the 14s with effort. So there is still a lot to gain out on this circuit, but Punju now looking to push over towards the line, goes second on a 115.1, making the Cadillac work a dream. Hayden Gullis took no part in practice and deciding that turn 1's the best one in the world, uses the Acura, bins the Acura.
Yeah, he's been talking a lot about how he's struggled around this track, and it looks like the struggles are carrying on into qualifying. I think just lighting up the tires on the rear axle out of the turns, and these cars drive so much differently to a open-wheeler car that you just have to adapt your driving style. And sometimes if you've raced so long in one category of cars or a type of car, it's just so difficult to adapt. And so I know Hayden has the pace, he'll find it during the race at some point, but in qualifying it's looking tricky at the moment. Another driver to note is the return of the Stag. We see him on screen now. That's another coincidence for commentary right there. And the Stag has just been talking about how they want to cause a little bit of mischief out here. I was able to chat a few words to normally the driver that says nothing whatsoever. So with the unsafety car livery as well. So that's going to throw a spanner in the works if anybody takes that seriously. But it's a great strategy if you don't want to get overtaken.
John, what language does the Stag speak in?
Well, it was some weird grunts and all of that. I had a translator app open using AI, so
Whoa.
I was able to understand half of it, you see.
Josh Merrin, 113.4, has gone 1.4 seconds quicker than everybody else in the number 53 machine. That is a lightning hot pace that has been set and able to get to the walls a lot closer. And street circuits often are shied away from a lot of drivers out there. It's one of those things where you see Long Beach on a calendar, you see something like St. Petersburg on a calendar, say, for example, and drivers will tend to shy away and go, no, I quite like my open circuits. I quite like to make mistakes and not get punished for it. But without a street circuit, you don't appreciate as much how good the racing circuits of the world truly are.
Yeah, variety is everything on racetracks, and this brings something unique. It's very old school, as I've said before, and it's one of those things where it teaches you to really gel with the car and understand what the car is doing, because if you do not understand what is happening with the car and how to get performance out of it, you'll go straight in the barrier, and their Encephalosis just tapping the wall, getting out of the way of the prototype cars. So really, really tricky if you're in a GT3 car around here, because you kind of have to look in your mirrors and take these 90-degree turns all the time. I want to say also about Punju, he was just talking about how the Cadillac isn't the preferred car around here for the prototype category, but it's one of those things that he likes driving the underdog car, and he said he can possibly win around here, so he's one to look out for.
I think everybody around Long Beach, if we're going to be quite honest, John, can possibly win around here. It's one of these tracks where with 2 hours, 5 fast repairs available to everyone, I think there are going to be cars in trouble all day long.
Yes, you're quite right. There's no other way of saying it. I think this is going to be one of those races where keeping your nose clean is going to be of utmost importance. And at the end of the day, is that going to be possible? You just have to hope that nobody else comes into contact with you, but you will find that you will get some contact at some point. So you've got to choose where you want to be aggressive during the race. You can see Stormalina just struggling around the last turn there. The hairpin's so tight. If you don't take a narrow entry to turn 10, you really can't get around it, and you have to boot the throttle, and that's not good for tyre wear during the race.
No, it very much isn't, and so Stormalina are 116.4 at the moment, bottom of the class of the 10, or actually second bottom of the class of the 10 out there in GTP, just waiting for DM Gal to set a time currently. It's currently classified as 20th position as things stands. There is the BMW out there pushing forward, the big sniffer, as it is sometimes known colloquially, out there for the massive grille that is there along the V8. And so DM Gal pushing through towards the left of 10 and then turn 11 on this 3.06 kilometer circuit. Really trying to wait to get the car settled and through before planting the power down. It's one of those corners where you just need all the rotation.
Yeah, now that you've mentioned the grille, I still can't believe that it's smaller than the grille on the BMW M6, but there you go. If you need to look that one up, there is an image you need to see on this afternoon or day's racing. But definitely the BMW, kind of the outlier, really. It's got kind of the same, I wouldn't say same handling characteristics exactly, but it's in the same ballpark as the Porsche around here. So it's kind of picking and choosing which car you want. The Porsche's kind of a bit pointier on the nose, a bit more difficult to drive, as Josh Merrin goes 113.1 to go top of the field at the moment. We just saw him on the end of the lap there. He's on screen right now, and that is one heck of a lap. But the BMW a little bit more planted, let's say, and stable. So could that be a joker card to play during the race? We'll have to wait and see.
Jota livery on it at the moment of that Porsche. Stormalina in a Porsche. Punju is in a Cadillac. Lithium Fox is in a Good Smile Racing Porsche out there as well, that 963. Porsches basically have become the GTP of choice out there with DM Gal in the BMW and Hayden Gullis in an Acura. We've actually got a lot of differences out there. The only thing I think we have been missing from the front of the field is a Ferrari 499P, as there is Auburn Kyle getting into the side of Punju and around, and there goes the attempt of car 13, who will have to go back to pits, and it's the time to warm the tyres up as well. I think Punju's chance of improving on 5th place has just been dashed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just, I think, slamming the door shut on the GT3 car a little bit too early there. Misjudging the size of these GTP cars is so tricky when you're basically sat at the front third of the car, as you can see from the Porsche chassis here. It's really tricky to determine where the end of the aerodynamic stops, and yeah, it's tricky there. But Smarter Bull carrying on for a lap here. P8 at the moment. Will it be an improvement? We'll have to wait and see across the line. It doesn't look like the time is updated, so sadly not for the moment, but they've got another, I'd say, 2 laps in it, so it's all hands on deck right now to warm up those tyres and get the fast ones in.
Yep, every fast lap, I think, is going to make a huge difference. You can see pulling over to one side, late at 666, so Layla over to the side of the road and is representing Solstice's community, and Solstice then just going by in the Porsche as well, so she'll be out there and making good progress. Lamborghini number 18, Christoph there in 2nd position. That Huracan then really trying to work over the curbs. It's off camber through turn 5 on to the West Shoreline Drive, and back then into turn 6 and 7 onto TK Drive and the Yamava corner, which then follows over the crest, back down the other side. Very easy with how late that braking zone is, just to loop it around with that slight dip down the hill. It plateaus out just as you hit the brakes.
Yeah, the Huracan car, really good mid-engined, also very pointy as well, very snappy for these turns, and we can see that at the moment. P2 P4 and P5 for the Lamborghinis at the moment in the GT3 class, so this is really working well. Round along turn 9, turn 10, then into turn 11, the hairpin, really great exit, stamping on the throttle. You can see the oversteer kicking in a little bit. Traction control will be fighting that across the line. Will it be an improvement? It did not look like it, so maybe just not aggressive enough in the lap, and that is the problem, really, isn't it? You've got to play with the limits, and it's just 1% between setting the fastest lap and being in the barrier.
There's an improvement for Hayden Gullis, up to 4th position. The concentration on the face, very, very telling on in towards the Acura turn. His turn number 1, out there, working through the O'Reilly's turn at turn 2, past the fountain on the right, and now working through the Bubba Gump Fountain Club. 3, into 4, around the aquarium, catches a wiggle through the middle, and now into turn 5, over the top of the curb, let the car fall back down the hill again, and then over towards turns 6 and 7 as you go on to TK Way here and make this push. You can see the checkered flag is about to come out in 18 seconds. I don't think he's blinked once over the course of this lap. It's been like looking at Sideshow Bob trying to put a lap together. Maybe brush the wall there, and if he has, the lap has gone astray. But car in front gets a bit of tow from Mia Rose. Going to have to lunge down the inside. Mechanical grip's going to be even, and then's going to have to run down on the inside. Checkered flag out then, and realizing that one's going to have to be abandoned as the last laps will now start to find a way. Christoph needing 0.4 of a second in front. Mia Rose there, really working well she is at the moment in the AMG Mercedes that has really worked up an appetite for quick running, and that is an 18.7 that does not improve the lap. So you look around with Flyers on a lap, B-Roy's on a lap at the moment. There is Flyers, B-Roy just behind is going to hope for a tiny bit of tow to get over to it, but that, hard into the fence there as moving for the pit. That's something to note. How do you get in on a very tight, pointed line to hit the brakes? B-Roy up to 6th place then with a 14.7 at the very end of qualifying. That one will certainly be helpful, which I think only leaves VM Knoller heading towards the line, who hasn't set a lap time as of yet. A lap like this will certainly help over Snorbranch, but it hasn't been counted, so qualifying looks like now is in the books as we wait for Ben Serda to make the short push over towards the line and be the only car left to go by, and does a 19 flat, which does not improve in that Corvette. So field is stacked, field is set, and it is a crucial qualifying that has come through to give best placement possible for these 2 hours of running that is in play. Josh Merrin will be in control by 0.4 over Reska Kyoso, and Brendan Hyperstar in 3rd position. Lid Fox and Hayden Gullis will be 4th and 5th, with B-Roy and the Stag 6th and 7th. Punju will be lining up in 8th, with DM Gal 9th, and Storm Molina rounding out your top 10 in the GTP category. Over to GTD, where Mia Rose tops by almost half a second over Christoph, with Ben Serda then in 3rd, Latat 666 in 4th position, and Flyers then making up your top 5. Auburn Kyle is in 6th position, with Reese in 7th and Ancephalosis 8th. Smiler Bull and Chesnoy Gaming make up your top 10. It leaves 3 more in the class just behind, as we've got Solstice there in 11th, Snorbranch in 12th, and the final position, VM Knoller, then making up the run. A lot of great racing going on this weekend, John, but they will be looking to get themselves lined up onto the grid, and with a half a pace lap to go and get the tyre temperatures in. These first few laps are going to be crucial.
You could see some aggressive weaving here from some of the drivers just to generate any temperature. It's a long way down to turn 1, and it's a heavy braking zone on a very bumpy surface as well. So you want any temperature that you can get to, maybe just conserve your position and not go wide. We've seen it so many times at Long Beach that at least 2 or 3 drivers miss the braking zone. And I'm hoping that everyone gets a clean start today, but realistically, when you're approaching it mid-pack, blind a little bit, you follow the drivers in, and if someone breaks late, it can have a concertina effect with everyone following that same line as well.
And so, with 2 hours and a lap time that is 1 minute 13 at the very quickest, it could be one of the very difficult races out there for these creators because they're putting so many laps down on the board. They're having to hit the marks again and again and again. And at some point, you will do something slightly different that causes a mistake. This is a track that just wears cars and drivers down.
Yeah, you have to stay alert on a street circuit, and it's so difficult to do that. Complacency is the enemy, as they say.
Complacency is, and it always has been for many a sim racer who looks to put themselves together. If you are joining us, of course, over on Creator Series, over on the iRacing YouTube channels and Twitch channels here. Hi, how are you? Let's hope that we're going to be a great part of your day today with so much amazing running coming up for so many to go and push forward with. We now get the movement of the cars over then as they pass the Expo Centre on the right-hand side, which gets itself set for racing and actually hosts the likes of the Dan Gurney Media Centre in amongst its realm as racing weeks tend to go through. So it's always very good to see a lot of the media out and representing over at Long Beach. But Josh Merrin with control of the field. He's tried really hard. He picked up a win 2 nights ago, John, and is looking to do the same again here today.
Yeah, he's riding the confidence, that's for sure. He'll have utmost confidence being on pole right now, and it will just be the case of trying to get away as quick as possible from the field. Clean running, so crucial around here. 5 fast repairs, you have to remind that as well. So it's going to be a grandstand race, I can guarantee you that.
So, behind the BMW M2 safety car, which works through the final corner, big wide lines taken, then you've got to do a lot of work to get pulled back up together into line. You can see desperately trying to jump through, and oh, look at that, perfect on the jump as the green flag goes. Josh Merrin understood that the pack opened up at Lithium Fox, and basically get yourself going in early. Mia Rose and Christoph have got a lovely jump as well as they get themselves set for racing, and they get themselves off to the accurate turn to start off running here around this circuit, and they will fall single file immediately through the fountain and say that is how you start off.
Yeah, they call them having a cup of tea, as they say. My days. That was a great start from Josh Merrin. Miros has really got the hammer down as well. All that is, I think, maybe ancephallosis in the barriers. We'll have to check on that. But huge shunt from the Mercedes there. Damage on the front. Not ideal. Chesnoy caught up in that, and I think the Mercedes might be getting out of the way. Yeah, serious damage. That might be our first casualty of the day.
It's Reese there, part of your community group in the 301. So lots of damage on the front and having to nurse around early. A disaster, to say the least. Smileable versus Chesnoy Gaming then, out of 6 and 7 over the crest towards turn 8, the Yamaha turn. Here on this right, you can go all the way over the inside and not get an off-track penalty for cutting over, but the patience factor will play. Snore Brunch just behind as well, looking to try and get the power of Scotland into play right now in the Porsche, and ultimately seeing behind there big lines being taken by Solstice, trying to slowly work her way up the order here in the running. Storm Melina a little bit slow as well. She's had a moment out on track.
Ooh. Big shunt there for Hayden Gullis. I think that's in turn 1. He's really got the braking zone messed up, and that is wheel damage as well. He won't be able to recover that. So what's happened here? Has he just broken too late? I think he has. He's just had to go for it because he's just got no braking ability. Straight into the barrier. Couldn't lift the brakes off. Even if he made the runoff area, there was nothing to do there, and he's going to try and rejoin, but that wheel is just hanging off. He won't be able to get that turn around the track.
It was never going to slow down. It was never going to stop. And so it's made life really tough for Hayden Gullis in the beginning. He will know that at a safety car or unsafety car, he will have the ability to get any laps back that he has lost. So that's his way of getting back into it. Smileable again, having a look here in the Porsche, but not finding a way past the McLaren of Ches here, who is doing just enough there. A little bit of a focus out there. You can tell he's concentrating out there. The tongue seems to wag about every time Paul wants to try and go out, find a way, get some moves done, and he's really going at it and proving what he can do out there. Consmileable as a creator, down the inside, making a good run. He's actually doing a charity stream over the iRacing Nürburgring 24-hour weekend. I hope that he'll be getting to do some commentary with us on iRacing, and critically enough, helping to engage his community as well.
For sure, always good to do a charity event, and it gets the community going, doesn't it? So lovely to see that. The race start for him, a little bit tentative, I'd say. A lot of damage on the front of that Porsche there, so really, really tricky. I wonder where that's happened, but definitely at the front of the GTP classes here, Josh Merrin is getting reeled in a little bit by Reska Kyoso. After the race start, I think Reska's just managed to get the tyres turned on a little bit in terms of temperature, and that just helps the confidence. You can really just go for it, and you can see that gap there to Lithium Fox, 4 seconds at the moment. It's a sizable gap, so the Stag under pressure here as well, and that is DM. Oh, hang on, who's that?
Lithium Fox, and damage for the Good Smile Racing Porsche out there. No love then for the anti-diva Atasha on the side of the car and on the front, on the brakes, overcooking it. If you have to abandon it here, it's a lot different to other places. You can't commit into the corner. You just have to take your medicine, John, go down the escape road and reverse it back around again. Now has found it to a place where Lithium had to do a 3-point turn to get out of the final corner and down into the pitch to use a fast repair to get back into play. So really tough to see that early.
At least they made it back to the pits, but yeah, for sure, just once you're turning into the corner, it's kind of too late to back out of it, and that's really the problem there. And it's kind of a track where you have to respect it. You can't go 100% all the time, and I think people just trying to outdrive the pace at the moment, especially on, I will say, lukewarm tyres, as they say. And so they were quite lucky, actually, that Lithium Fox didn't go back or bounce back onto the racing line. There was about a car's width left here into this turn, and so that is just, I think, the best case scenario in that one. Very unfortunate for Lithium Fox, but I tell you what, B-Roy is on a bit of a storm here. Brendan Hyperstar, a bit of a slow start for the moment, and into the barrier. I think a little bit of a tap there on the exit of the hairpin. That is the danger if you can't get the turning circle on these cars.
You don't want to brush up against the wall, and you don't want to do it too much. Josh Merrin with the fastest lap then of the race with a 1:13.8, gets a couple tenths of a second over Reska Kyoso, as B-Roy with the Sim Gaming Expo sponsorship there on the left and right hand sides. A wonderful expo in Schaumburg, Illinois. I would recommend anybody who wants to get a love of anything simulation to go over and experience that. Brendan Hyperstar is holding the ground, and then you got Punju behind. So this is third, fourth and fifth, and 3 Americans here at Long Beach looking to give a show out there at this point and say, look, this is what we're all about. We're in this one to win this one. And look at B-Roy, he's too close. Bang, Punju, nowhere to go. And now they're all going to have to scarper down to the inside to avoid.
Yeah, I think damage as well to B-Roy there. Another wheel hanging off. So just, I think, overcooked it and maybe tagged the rear of Brendan. I think you're right, Jake. Just steaming in a little bit too fast. Let's see if we can get a clear view on this one. Going in hot, and there is a tag, yeah, but he'd lost it before, to be fair. Even before there was any contact, he was sideways. And
keep an eye on Lay, though, as well. Keep the replay on. Go to Later and Flyers going through turn 5, because they've come together and they've had a massive, massive shunt up that has put them through. You just catch it there. Here they have a nibble through 4, then into turn 5. You can see bang in the wall, bang, and nowhere to go for Flyers. And then those are 2 Lamborghinis that are not feeling very comfortable out there. Punju, by the way, penalty for entering pit lane unsafe.
No.
That is Snowbrunch as well then, just finding the door and nothing more than that.
So unfortunate. What do you do in that situation? You're kind of blind in the car. You don't know what to do, whether to reverse or not. The spotter won't necessarily give you the correct info for that, depending on the way that your car is facing. So really, really difficult and tricky one there. I think they did the correct decision to try and get out of the way. It's just unfortunate that Snowbrunch was coming around the corner there. I think that's a classic Long Beach incident there at turn 5, just going wide. It's kind of an off-camber corner, so you drift toward the tyre barrier, and by the time you realise you don't have the grip, it's too late to back out of it, and then in the wall and the collision with the other Lamborghini as well just meant that the Flyers went round as well. So Miro's still at the front of the pack. A sizable gap now at the moment, about 2.7 seconds. You can see it there visibly. And Christoph in the Lamborghini just taking his time to get settled in, to be fair. And Ben Serda right behind. So there's your top three in GT3 at the moment. They are cruising away from Auburn Kyle in P4. 7 seconds, nearly 8 seconds adrift.
Gotta love Auburn Kyle representing the University of Auburn out there in Alabama, and saying that he does a wonderful amount of work. He's been part of the college series as well on iRacing. Josh Marin and Reska Kyoso, then a gap of 0.6 of a second, but for the first time they will have a few bits of traffic to worry about in the forms of both B-Roy, Hayden Gullis, Flyers and VM Knoller, who are all there together, and suddenly it's about how you get by, not just category of class there that you are quicker than, but your same category.
Yeah, for sure. Every car will have its strength, and B-Roy being very aggressive there. My days, that was almost a serious incident right there. Just, yeah, the flashing of the Porsche there, just saying, what were you doing in that? That was Reska Kyoso, actually. My apologies. No, similar liveries, let's say. But, yeah, just, I think just some sort of miscommunication there between the GTP cars, and this is where it gets nasty with the GT3 cars, especially. You're trying to go for the overtakes, but the GT3 cars are entitled to their position. It's been a disaster of half a lap for Reska Kyoso, hasn't it?
Arkeo out of nowhere finding that, so that was very clumsy into turn one, trying to make the 3 wide go, and then just unable to lift out. Bang! A tag against the wall. Reska Kyoso pinned through the O'Reilly turn 2 with nowhere to go, and really there for Flyers, a case of not looking where he's going in his battle with VM Knoller. So I think that was very, very naughty there by Flyers, and should have been keeping a lot heavier up, as Chesnoid now having to really keep eyes on a swivel, because behind that Solstice trying to find a way through. Smileable has already found one pass out there. Not often that you see the McLaren out there and run in a race like this, and Paul missing the bumper out there. So obviously someone has nicked it, taken it out of the circuit and said, nah, you don't need that, your car's lighter.
Changes the aerodynamic balance, which can be a benefit of some point. I'm not sure on this track, though. You need all the downforce you can get. And Porsche on Porsche action here. Oh, B-Roy in the barrier once again. Can you believe it? I think the steering's broken again. No way, it certainly is. Can you believe it for B-Roy? It's just not his start of the race, is it? So I think this is just a late braking. Again, it's the same thing as Hayden, just too late on the brakes, locking, sort of panicking on the brakes. You kind of have to at that point, and huge damage. And I think there's been some more contact with someone there at the bodyworks. Falling off, dearie me.
Hit the wall, the Stag has nowhere to go, and the Stag does not concern itself here, so it just doesn't have the rotation through, and then bang, and then the Stag gets into the side as well, heading through then the Bubba Gump Fountain Club, and they're over towards the next section of the road. Look at the suspension bounce and hop with how much damage there is on that front right. That is a car that should, in every respect, be towed back to pit, and everyone should be made aware of that, as this is the scrap for second between Christoph and Ben Serda, who's been quietly going about business.
Yeah, they've definitely just been punching in the laps at the moment. Christoph keeping the gap at 4.5 seconds to Miro. So it hasn't really tapered off in terms of pace. In fact, I'd say it's come back to the Lamborghini in terms of pace. But Ben Serda in that Corvette is looking punchy out of the corner. So we'll have to wait and see whether that V8 can do anything about the Lamborghini V10 in front of it. It's looking like the Lamborghini's a little bit better out of the corners, but the Corvette has more confidence, or at least Ben Serda does, let's put it that way. I'll just say, concerning the GT3s and the GTPs, to be fair, is that you want a different car in front of you, realistically, because your car will have different advantages and disadvantages. It's much easier to find an overtake when you have a different car, and so it creates opportunities. If you have the same car in front of you, it can be a stalemate and really, really difficult. So Ben Serda will just be looking to find a gap, or just studying the car in front of him to see where it's slow, and then try and calculate an overtaking opportunity.
Not even an eighth of the way through this race, yet to hit 15 minutes, and already so much drama to try and befall the many pitfalls around this circuit. Christoph holding ground, and now Solstice trying to just follow the line here through the final corner. The hairpin on a circuit that used to be a lot longer, and struggling for power off the exit. That's very quickly going to be a slip up and a place lost then for Chesnoy Gaming, as through goes Solstice to move on up another more. That for 7th position. And seeing the likes there of DM Gal go through. Hyperstar. Oh, Ches, go careful. Going to just about get away with it, but behind, the Stag is in the fence.
Oh no, probably a late braking as well there. Just people getting a lockup, I think, on the front tyres all the time. Yeah, that's gone into the barrier hard, hasn't it, in turn 1. Let's have a look. So just trying to overtake the Porsche. Probably sees the incident happen ahead and brakes late, and there you go, the Stag in the fence there. Luckily, it wasn't too hard to tap. The steering isn't broken, so they'll be able to get that back to pits, but that is probably going to have to be a repair. Although, looks like there's not that much damage. It looked worse from the angle around the fountain there.
It does, and I think damage can be accentuated sometimes as worse than it is on a street circuit, because you got nowhere to go to make it to basically go wrong, whereas you can run off wide, say, for example, on a road course, and life can be a little bit more difficult. Diving down on the brakes then through the Firestone turn at turn 9 now, then in through turn 10 and over to turn 11, the final corner out on this track. This used to have back-to-back hairpins at the end of it. It was one of those tracks where the old school running of the US Grand Prix West, say, for example, was a much bigger challenge of the streets of Long Beach.
Yeah, well, it used to run along, in the first iteration, along Ocean Boulevard, which is north of Seaside Way. So it's a completely different track, half of it, compared to what it used to be. But, you know, there's so many iterations here. Solstice going around the outside of Smiler Bull there. So that's a change in position right there for P6 in the GT3 standing. So I think Smiler Bull just struggling with the front end grip there. As you can see, the Porsche struggling for rear end grip. And this could get spicy, as they say. Realistically, GTP here wants to get the overtake done on both these Porsches. Will it happen? Not into the braking zone. Solstice getting the speed on right there, that's for sure.
Well, looking around right now, Lithium Fox piloting the Good Smile Racing Porsche out there, and we see it a lot that Good Smile Racing do a lot in the Japanese GT3 scene with the likes of the Super GT effort that goes out there, but it is something that you're seeing more and more anime designs going on the side of race cars. You'll see a lot of them here in iRacing and the various communities that put them together. There's Reska Kyoso out there at the point, to the point where we saw actually a lot of fanfare over this last week about the My Dress Up Darling AMG Mercedes that ran in the Super Endurance Series in Japan last week. So there's a lot of love of that style coming into play. John, how do you stand in terms of where you're seeing more of that, and do you think there could be more transfer over into away from the Japanese scene of racing, and maybe we could see something a little bit more common in the racing sphere?
Well, the JDM market, so the Japanese domestic market, is always strong, isn't it? It had its peak in the 90s, but it is kind of coming back with a lot more sort of sports car produce coming from Japan. So I think really it's positive. I love creativity. The liveries look colourful, spectacular as well. So I love seeing different liveries on a race car for sure. And obviously being a fan of Initial D, you can't complain against that.
Dog! We've got a dog! We've got to love a dog. Stormelina's dog there in the back of shot. And so it's a case of let's have a nap while Stormelina works around in 5th position. She's about 25 seconds off the back of DM Gal at the moment, just working through and understanding the way that Stormelina can try and win this race in the 007 Spy Machine. John, I think this is a case of wait for the unsafety car and wait to be somewhere within the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, keeping your nose clean, as I said in qualifying, you've really got to do it at this point. Also, it's worth noting that if you get involved in an incident and you have to tow to pit lane, your tyres will be stone cold once again. So you have to really think about keeping it clean just in terms of tyre temperature, if nothing else, because it can be such... you can lose maybe 3 or 4 seconds per lap if you don't have up to temperature tyres. So it's everything about consistency right now. And as we see in many endurance races, it's not until maybe the final 30 minutes that you have to seriously think about track position, because you are just running the lap times, you're running at your own pace and keeping it out of the barriers. But as we're seeing here, that's easier said than done.
it is out then through a few of these corners. You can see the damage for Snorbranch at the moment in a scrap with Flyers, who is looking to try and get the Lamborghini into play. Very narrow over through the T-Gate turn and over onto the T-Gate straight, sorry, and now into the Yamava corner out there and trying to get the drive over towards Firestone. So there's the next attempt to go through. When you've got a car that is damaged and doesn't quite get there, oh, it's an easy move down the inside. Showed that early there, John, and very lovely on the pass.
That's the kind of overtake you have to do around here. You just have to send it and hope that the guy that you're racing will see the attempts happening, because if not, it'll be a spectacular accident. And so, yeah, you just have to sort of play with risks, and that's the thing around the street circuit, is that it can easily bite you back, as they say. And, oh, that's a huge shunt again for B-Roy. He's not having a good time, is he, out there right now?
Well, remember, you've got 5 fast repairs, and at the moment, that's a third that's probably going to be going.
That's not ideal. I think that could be called suboptimal, Jake.
I think it's quite less than suboptimal. I think that I want to get out of this race in the first half an hour in order to try and get myself a bowl of bubblegum shrimp or something else.
To quote a certain other motor racing show, that's not gone well, for sure. But meanwhile, someone going well is Ben Serda at the moment and Chris Stoff, because the gap is increasing a little bit to Mia Rose, but they're keeping it clean, they're keeping it consistent. And at the moment, they are basically in no man's land in the podium positions at the moment, because the gap behind them, 12 seconds there to Kyle. So it's one of those things that they are just happy in their own pace. I don't think there's any overtakes being sort of attempted there. They're just running consistent lap times, not overheating the tiles. And I must say, for Josh Merrin, he is storming away at the moment with this lead. 8.5 seconds to Reska Kyoso.
Now, if an unsafety car came out right now, this would be a case of all the GT3s would go back onto the leading lap. So they'd be very happy with Mia Rose holding her ground at the moment to Josh Merrin. But Mia, get this, from the start of this race, is up in P6 overall, because there's been so much carnage from everybody around. So that has made a huge difference. And speaking of huge differences, out there, DM Gal, currently in 4th position, has come in and made a stop. To me, that was scheduled.
Yeah, it certainly does look like it's scheduled. Most of the cars will be running with a lighter fuel package right from the get-go, because you want to get a clean start, track position, get a lot of clean air to just pull away in effectively. So they'll be running maybe 3/4 fuel, I'd say, something around there. But also, it's worth saying that the lap times of the GT3s aren't that bad compared to the GTPs. You're looking at maybe a 5-second lap difference between the two. It's only on Seaside Way, which we've just exited right now from this onboard perspective, and the start-finish straight, or indeed curve, as you might want to call it. They're the only times that the GTPs... Oh, that's not gone right for Chesnoid. He's gone straight into the wall there and not managed to get the car slowed down, just understeering into the barrier.
Yeah, abandoned ship, and ultimately Struggle Street will then soon follow. The lap down machine then of Latat is going to be there, which says actually over on the banner, hashtag #1 Catgirl out there at the moment. So she's doing a great job. No, there's a little bit of a look then at this. So you can see Ches trying to open up the corner, but carries too much initial speed in, brushes with the tyre barrier there. You've got to get all your braking done before you turn in for that final hairpin.
Yeah, it's the case of putting on too much steering lock, and at some point the front tires just go, I can't turn and brake. Oh, yeah. Snowbrunch at the back there, just spinning all the way around, I think just lighting it up. And you can see there, it's so easy to do. So he's lost it mid-corner. Oh, no, that is a tap on the barrier. What a shame. But it looks like with the damage already on the front, there's no suspension damage as far as I could see. So it should be a case of just carry on until an unsafety car.
Well, how much damage is on it? Yes, we see it, and we see it so often at turn 6 being the trouble spot, because you get over the curbs, John, and it's not a traditional racing curve at turn 5, out there on track, off camber. So the moment that your tyres lean back down and basically you get 4 contact patches on the floor again, you're sliding about, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yes, the triple whammy, as I call it. So it's off camber. There's a curb on the inside which makes the car bounce. And indeed, it's over a small crest as well. So you get the lightness of the car as it goes over the crest, over the curb as it bounces up into the air, and then the off camber. So if you catch any slide over that curb, you can't recover it.
Stag in trouble, and that's through turn 8, has just lost a place, and the rear spoiler as well has gone. It's a big old smash up on the Stag zone, and I would be quite concerned with that.
Well, we'll have to do an interview whether we'll get any words out of them, as they say. Maybe they are concerned about this one. I'm not quite sure. It looks like the car's driving in a somewhat straight line, but the main problem is there is absolutely zero traction out of it. No way they are carrying on around. They are actually carrying on around. I can't quite believe it. They are going to try and do a lap of Long Beach without a rear wing. Now, this is very ill-advised, I think, Jake, but we're about to find out.
Well, it's ill-advised, but they don't have the black and orange mechanical flag. There's nothing they can do to stop the Stag.
Are they even aware that they're missing the rear wing, to be fair? Because if you're not told about it, then you can't really see through the mirrors. The visibility in the mirrors of these things is quite bad, let's say, at the best of times. So you'll soon find out, because you'll have no grip whatsoever.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the old Koenigsegg?
Yes. You mean the one that spun out on the
and ate a tyre bundle? Yes, I know that one. That's what it reminds me of right now.
This is looking strangely familiar, because this car indeed did also eat a tyre bundle. It's also reminding me of the Peugeot 9XC, I think it's called, in the hypercar class as well. But they put a rear wing on that. I wonder why.
I wonder as well, and it might be to get a little bit of work. A speed tail being shown right now with the Stag trying to work about and gain progress. About 8.7 seconds is the lead margin at the front of your field. Mia Rose currently on an 11-second margin at the front of her category at this moment in time. There is Mia up over the top, and keeping a look behind at Hayden Gullis in the Acura, who is currently down in 19th position and 2 laps down, looking to try and just move through, find a rhythm early, 25 minutes in, and no real major hit. You could say, oh, that's enough for an unsafety car to come out. It's been a... Oh, B-Roy again. Gareth, stop showing B-Roy. Look what happens.
So... there are commentators' curses and there's commentators' curses. Somehow, this is not my fault. So Ben Serda just going into the turn, and all of a sudden, there's a B-Roy on the exit, and B-Roy is not having fun. That's another suspension damage for B-Roy, by the way. He was okay until Ben Serda plowed into him there. So let's have a look at what happened here. Again, it's going to be a late braking, and he's just lost it on the entry. Hit the tire bubble. He's been hit already by Brendan Hyperstar. And that is Ben Serda just whacking him all the way round. And you can see the front left is popped completely off by that.
Well, could you say after a hit like that, John, that was a certified wreck?
You certainly could, Jake. You certainly could.
Well, race continues on out there. The incident cleared itself without too much concern for those around, although there were a couple of hits there. Brendan Hyperstar won't be too pleased about the hit on the front. It has damaged the Porsche out there at this stage. And now looking for a lap there is Josh Merrin on Storm Molina. By the looks of things, DM Gal has got back through, so Storm Molina's had a moment over the course of this lap, and just looking at it, she went straight on at turn 1, so there goes the lap. Josh Merrin now has lapped all bar 3 of his own category.
That's disconcerting for anyone in the GTP category, that someone can be so fast right from the get-go. We know Josh Merrin has a lot of pace in terms of racecraft, in terms of consistency, but to just put in the laps one after the other, I mean, it's consistently 0.2 of a second faster than anyone else, but also about 1.5 seconds faster than Brendan Hyperstar, who is pretty much the third fastest car in the class throughout the entirety of this stint at the moment. So, not now, perhaps, nearly into the barrier. Brendan Hyperstar there just managed to avoid it. So that is what the other drivers haven't been doing, is just lifting off the brakes.
Was there some left hand down there? Were you able to catch that, whether there was any left hand down along the straight? I'm going to have a little look here in the cockpit. Yeah, he's got about 10 degrees left hand down.
That's from the earlier collision with B-Roy, so that's not going to be handling great, and that's why he got the understeer there. It's a good spot, Jake, very good spot, and that's, again, it's not, I'd say, critical damage. You can drive with that, but it's not comfortable. It won't handle great, but it's kind of not worth pitting and getting sort of a lap down. Maybe just wait for an unsafety car.
I'll tell you what, you could go and do the Max Bant strategy that we saw from Sebastian Tixier, which is you take the wheel off, you remount it 10 degrees, and effectively you got a straight steering wheel.
That was legendary. That was absolute 4D chess right there when I saw that. I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of that. It reminds me of the Indy cars in the mid-2000s where they routinely do that on the ovals. Just have a straight steering wheel down the straights, and it worked a charm. So whether he learned that from there or from another place, we'll yet to see. This is Hayden Gullet. No, this is Punju on the Stag, and the Stag has tried to defend that one, but with no rear wing, it wasn't really happening. And now is caught on the apex of the corner as well. He won't be able to see anything of what's going on. Can they rejoin? They had an attempt there, but it's just creeping forward. See if you can see around the corner. Boot it. You just got to boot it and hope nothing happens.
Well, I think trying to call an unsafety car here to try and go through, and the unsafety car has been called. So ultimately, baiting it out was the Stag, and we do know that the Stag, for whatever which way, shape or form you look at it, John, it does have to be mentioned here in Creator Series, the Stag and Race Control are often, I would say, very good friends. I don't know what their arrangement or financial agreement is, but they're very good friends.
Yeah, mid-2000s is calling at the moment in terms of underhand tactics, as they say. But it's interesting. I don't think the unsafety car has ever been called out for the unsafety car. That's a new one in the rulebook.
Well, it's a case of I need the unsafety car to be safe again. So ultimately, at just over the one, or just under the 1/4 distance, Josh Merrin now gets reeled in, and pit stops being taken then after 25% race distance, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that, because in terms of length of a stint from the GTPs, they're only expected to go about 40 out there in terms of minutes, is what we see as an average. Josh Merrin now coming into the pits as the likes of Reska Kyoso gets damage repaired and goes back out and going once more. But everybody knowing that they've survived the early enclave out there of how they've had to go through. So the starters, so to speak, have done well. But there is one issue out there with how everyone has started. One driver has not made it around to continue on in this race. And it's B-Roy and also Snowbrunch. So it's 2 cars out already.
I think they've decided to call it early just through bad luck. I think just too many incidents, too much loss of confidence. That can be the case for a driver around here. If you lose the confidence, you just get involved in more and more incidents, and you go slower and slower. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's just better to call it quits and just go again another day.
Well, John, let me ask you this. How much does B-Roy now get owed from Gareth?
In terms of karma, I think Gareth owes B-Roy in this one. He's been relatively unkind on the cameras in this one, let's say. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. There's many clip books and notepads that need to be perused to calculate that one.
There does, and with this first unsafety car period, a first chance to look at what the unsafety car is currently running about right now, and it is a Legends car, which is out there at the moment. There is the 999 machine, call an ambulance, but not for me, out there at this point. And so they are setting themselves up in the safety car. And watch out then on the back of this unsafety car, because it says in block there, do not pass.
Well, that's a pretty clear message, isn't it? I was just noticing as well on Hayden Gullis's car, there's quite a bit of damage as well there. So I think they've been in the pits. Maybe they've had a shunt as well, as we get the overpass view, the drone view. Yes, this is peak Creator Series right now. And there you can see do not pass. So does that apply for when cars get the wave around? I'm not quite sure.
Yes, do not pass. You get waved around, but you still can't pass it. So the unsafety car has to do a wave around as well.
Understood. Very, very good clear up on clarification on those rules. I'm sure everybody understands that, including me, right?
Yeah, you know, it's Creator Series. We turn around. Sometimes you need about a bit of sticky tape and glue, and then you'll sort of hold yourself together, and we'll say, yeah, it's still a race out there at this point, and it's making all the prowess then that it needs to. Josh Merrin then, who has control, then moves to the front of the pack, and so they will split the packs up into two out there, as in has come Christoph then for a bit more service. We'll sacrifice the track position, but we'll look to gain it back over the next phase of running.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where you have a great reset now and you can just calm down a little bit and get your head back in the game if you need to. And I think that will be very welcome for a few of these drivers around here. But it's also worth mentioning, there was around about the pit stop phase anyway. It was in the next 5 minutes, according to my calculations. So this is kind of a welcome sort of pit stop to get everybody back on the same strategy, regardless of what race fuel they took at the start. And they'll just be hoping to keep their tires warm. As you can see, that is Hayden Gullis trying to get the wave around, I think, or at least trying to rejoin the pack, as it looks like. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for cars coming together here just through not paying attention to the safety car. It's very easy to get caught up in trying to calculate strategy and whatnot, and you're not always looking at where you're going, and so you kind of just have to be careful of your surroundings and potentially even get out of the way of drivers trying to get past.
Well, there's a case of be careful, or there is, say, from the movie Margin Call, be careful out there that everyone will be looking to try and deal with. There is Storm Molina, currently running the 007 machine. A chance to note as well that your community entry in the GTPs is currently in 4th position right now, starting 9th. So DM Gal in a really good position in the BMW off at the start of running. And if this becomes a day where either 2 creators or 2 community entries come in and pick up the win, that is a bragging rights between them, because there is that inter-rivalry that will go through between those who are in the communities and those who are representing their own community as the community owners.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that you're put into the limelight and the spotlight, effectively, both in the same time. And you want to have a good race. You want to, you know, do your community proud, as they say. But also, it gives you the opportunity, as you said, to go for bragging rights. And that is something, as a driver, that I think everybody goes for. And I tell you what, going at it in the BMW as well, the car choice that nobody else has picked, that is a statement of confidence, a statement I'm doing something different. It may not be the optimal thing, but I believe in my pace, I believe in my strategy, I believe in myself, and we're going to go and have some fun. And there they are, actually, DM Gal joining the back of the GTP line, and it's been a consistent pace and progress for them at the moment, keeping it clean. So I can't wait to see them. I hope they have a good race, because it's always the oddball sort of choices that I like to see do well.
Just had a question come in through our YouTube chat. Thank you, everyone who is up here and watching. When Chess Creator Series, I turn around and when we create... Oh, no, I've just had a Max Bantz idea now, everyone. Chess racing. So you do, like, 10 laps of racing. If you can't decide a winner by more than 10 seconds, you then turn around and say, right, you've now got to play a game of chess. Like chess boxing.
Well, that's one way of doing it, that's for sure. I think that's actually a great idea for Max Bantz. Yeah, Jake, you're onto something here. Hang on a second, write that down.
Well, we've got it immortalised here on iRacing that there could be a new Max Bantz idea on the horizon, so that could be huge in terms of how that sets. But let's not think about that right now. That's over 2 months away. That'll be in June when we next get to that. There is Auburn Kyle, who is out there at the moment. And guess what, John? Gareth has completely missed our idea, so he'll never know.
Yeah. He has no idea what we're on about, and that's the brilliance of it. The geniusness of the commentary box. You've got to take your opportunity to mention stuff that could be important, but that the producer will never know about.
Exactly. So we'll have that all to work with, but for the moment, it is now set up and ready. Then with the fields putting himself together, Ben Serda in second, Auburn Kyle is then in third, and Cephalosis up to 4th position, ever the consistent driver out there. Christoph with his stop back to 6th, and Likes Chesnoid then in 8th, and Smileable in 10th position. So there's still focus that's needed. They're still looking at is all the field back together again. And I argue now they're just waiting on Layla to reach the back of the group. The Stag and maybe even Punju and Hayden. Those four, once they reach the back, field would then be ready to go forward again. There's your biggest gainers in the field. And there is a live look representing the VTuber community at Reska Kyoso in the 1-1-3. And he's driven an absolutely wonderful season here in Season 3 of Creator Series, has really embodied the spirit of what Creator Series is all about.
Indeed, yeah, they've just been the star act of the Creator Series Season 3 at the moment, just, well, storming in with points every single round as far as I can remember. So the consistency that they have right now, the confidence, as I spoke at the start of broadcast, is just way up there and sitting in P2 at the moment, just tailing Josh Merrin at the moment. It's all about pace at the moment, but consistency will come into play, and that's where Reska Kyoso will have the advantage. And without revealing anything to our producer once again, because I'm going to throw another spanner in the works there, Jake, would it be chess or would it be marbles, in your opinion, the best idea?
Ooh. Tiddlywinks.
Ah, yeah, that's now we're gaming, as they say.
Now we are. So let's get some professional tiddlywinks in on the action. So right now it's going to be a case of they set themselves ready. Josh Merrin has led every single lap of this race so far, but has been threatened by Reska Kyoso over the course of running. Brendan Hyperstar and DM Gal third and fourth, with Storm Molina then in fifth position. Mia Rose, she's also led every lap of the race so far. And here comes the unsafety car then, making progress in the 999. Normally looks for a dramatic way to lose it. Oh, on the curb. Bang, straight across. And not much more that can be done. Is looking to try and get back to speed, but is just going to sit and wait on the side. Josh Merrin is going to pull alongside and effectively gets the marker zone of, well, I can go anytime I pass the unsafety car, can't I? And so looping it around, a dramatic end, as we always see from the unsafety car crew, to go and get set through the parking lot and back onto the right. Josh Merrin then holding a long way, and now finally gets that slow release. The tyre temperature key as we restart running here with 1 hour and 20 minutes to go at Long Beach.
Reska Kyoso saw that one coming, though, booted it out of the hairpin in anticipation that Josh Merrin would try again. So, Josh Merrin, not so much of a gap this time. Brendan Hyperstar following as well, but challenged by DM Gal just behind there in the BMW. So, at the moment, it's a Porsche 123, but that could change all of a sudden. So, everyone getting away clean. You can see Reska Kyoso struggling with the tyres a little bit on restart. I expected to see a little bit more tyre weaving just to get the tyres up to temperature. Whoa, DM Gal nearly lost it there out of turn 5. Really, really tricky. But it's definitely looking from the GT3 side that everyone has got away scot-free at the moment.
Yeah, they have done well. There's Smileable trying to move up, and Storm Molina in fifth position. Oh, big one there. Lithium Fox is caught up in the midst of it then, and ultimately has to tow that one back to pit with damage on the side. So got in the wall and caused the chain reaction. Hayden just about got away with it. So this is Lith, and this is going all the way back then through turns 4 into turn 5 over the top. But it's really turn 8 then through the Yamava turn where it makes all the difference. So really a massive, massive shunt up. And again, cold tyres finding the braking zone here. How aggro do you want to be, John?
Well, that was a great attempt at an overtake on Storm Molina, so just trying to get it turned in. It just doesn't want to go, and then Storm Molina's there on the apex. Hayden Gullis is there to collect everyone as well, so really, really unfortunate. But you could see in the previous turns, I'm glad we had the replay back to turn 5, because you could see they were both struggling for traction. There was nothing to do effectively, and you could see just turning in, the wheels completely cranked to the right. There's not much you can do, and it's just an unfortunate ricochet case for both of them.
Yeah, so they're down in pits, and they're going to need to get some repairs to get themselves back into placement. The chase, though, still on out on circuit. DM Gal looking for third here. BMW plays Porsche at this moment in time. Brendan Hyperstar in the 963 for Team I5G out there, for those who know, in the IndyCar scene. One of the great sim racing teams out there. Troubles for Auburn Kyle going then through 6-7. Round you go.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And again, just the case of Porsche. Mid-engine Porsche is not great on that mid-corner rotation, is it, at the moment? There's a car off in the background there. What has happened there? I think that was potentially Punju having some problems there on the exit, the hairpin. There was definitely a lot of tyre smoke, and that is side by side with the Stag as well. Hayden Gullis ahead. Could have been Hayden Gullis with the problems. We'll have to see if we can get that one on replay. But there's something happens because they've lost a huge amount of time right now as they all go line astern through the fountain section here. But they have lost at least half a straight right now. Let's have a look here. So round the hairpin, I think it was just Punju. Yeah, just pushed, and it was Hayden Gullis having a bad exit, and Punju had nowhere to go. And the unsafety car of the Stag was just saying, hey, I want to get past here. Please let me overtake.
John, which brand of yellow GTP do you want to be ahead in this group?
The one leading the pack. That's always the correct answer as the driver.
Well, so you're a big Hayden Gullis fan then, it has to be said, and that means that Hayden always has this ability to get up there to the pointy level, John, but the issue that Hayden has, when the lights get a little bit too bright, the mistakes also come following.
Him and I have a lot in common then, in that sense of greatness is sought and possibly achieved at some points, but not always, as he clips the barrier there on the inside of the hairpin, so I'm not doing anything to justify his case anymore, that's for sure. Commentator's curse coming out in full effect today, but it's unfortunate for Hayden. He's always pushing the car to 110%, and sometimes it leads to overdriving, and, you know, I know what that feels like, and it doesn't always end well, as they say.
DM Gal up then into third position, a gift of a place then from Brendan Hyperstar to get the change sorted and allow the community entry to move on up and try and chase down Reska Kyoso and Josh Merrin over at the front of the pack. So they have that to try and deal with at this moment. Auburn Kyle officially a retiree then from this race as well. So another car that has decided we're going to pull it behind the fence and we are not going to be able to go and get any more. So there's a look then at Josh Merrin here on the brakes into the right. Now, does he have a little bit of a stutter step moment? No. That's just a perfect line then through at the Yamava turn over to Firestone.
Yeah, that is just absolute on the limit for sure. And I don't think you could get more than maybe half a tenth of a second out of that corner if you were pushing in qualifying pace. You don't want to do that during the race. Any bit of contact, as we've seen through that corner, is devastating. So Josh Merrin just doing what he can, but Reska Kyoso is following behind and is far enough behind to correct a mistake if Josh Merrin makes one, so they don't have to follow the same line, and it's just putting that pressure on casually. Now, if this was a sprint race, I'd say that wouldn't be a huge effect, but there's still an hour and 14 to go. That can have a huge effect. It nearly did through turn 5. My days, he had to back out of that one and correct it, but Reska Kyoso not close enough. I think there's just the case of that pressure and those cracks starting to show a little bit.
Yeah, so this is casual pressure. Now, I want to turn around to you, John, and ask the question, if that's casual pressure, what's competitive pressure?
Competitive pressure is what we've seen from Hayden Gullis and B-Roy at the moment, just pushing a little bit round the corner. You have to give them a little bit of a love tap, as they say, and you just got to make your presence known. And the problem is with that is around the street circuit. Let's say competitive pressure is not advised, as we've seen already during this race. There's always, as I said, the possibility to get involved in your own pressure incident. So yeah, not advisable. And I'd say that from a point of I've done it way too many times and it's definitely not ended well.
Well, I'm seeing double Dutch at the moment as Solstice here and Christoph, both representing the Netherlands, are now in a scrap with each other. This one is for 4th place, and Christoph then moving the Lamborghini to the inside. Solstice leaves the door ajar, now gets the inside here for turn 10, but stuck on that inside, they are going to have to scrap for the hairpin, and Solstice will have to wait to turn, she will, for Christoph to go through, and that now allows the chase on against Ancephalosis's Porsche, now in the number 43. So changes then up through the order, and Christoph proving that there is pace, and there is pace to burn.
Yeah, Ben Serda as well, liberated in 2nd place after he was stuck, I won't say stuck behind, but just trailing Christoph in was P3 before the unsafety car. So we'll have to see whether that Corvette has a lot of pace. At the moment, 3.3 seconds, 3.4 seconds. So the pace is just kind of here and there. But definitely Ancephalosis having a great race at the moment as well. He hasn't really been featured on camera that much, but it's just been churning in the laps, being consistent as always. That is what has gained them the lead of the Creative Series standings in Season 3 alongside Reska Kyoso. So it's working well once again in this race, and Punchy just giving the flashing of the lights to the Stag, saying, Fernando is faster than you, please let me past.
Well, do you copy that? And the answer to that is don't use a copy machine somewhere in 2007, as that gets very close over to the barriers then, as Punju then in that 7th place would like to get past the Stag, who is in 6th, working through then at turn 4 and over now into turn 5, over the top and back down the hill again, using the likes of the windscreen wiper as your reference for where the middle of the car is, and trying to get this progress through and making the turns. Little slow through, not being able to use the downforce on the rear, and so getting a massive slide then through the middle, and another one for Punju here. Really struggling to get downforce in. You need to drive faster, buddy.
He's overheated the rear tires, I think, because that gave way in the braking zone. Like, that was not even hitting the apex, and this is an overtake here. Chesnoid losing a position to, I think that's Leitat. It's going to get back. Is that... Oh, this is going to go side by side through the fountain. That's not advised. Chesnoid in the barrier a little bit, and once again, it's Linus Stern. Incredible stuff right there from both drivers, and Chesnoid, well, falling foul to it and concedes another position.
Yeah, so Layla gets the pass through once again. So that was the initial attempt through the O'Reilly's turn at turn 2, entering the Bubba Gump Fountain Club out there, and ultimately finding out just how tough it is to go and move through and gain that into play. We do know another retiree from this race. We're now up to 4 of them.
Hang on a minute, Josh Barron's gone off.
Oh no, Josh! Oh no, Josh, no! Front nose gone, dominated proceedings, has thrown it in the barriers at turn 1, all on his Merrin Lonesome.
I can't believe it. I thought there's a Porsche with a missing front end, so what's this going to be? Just an overtake on Smiler Bull, nothing too bad, but again, it's just too late. Going for that overtake, that inside line is dusty. You can't brake as late as you dare to on the outside, and it's such an easy mistake to make, especially when you're under pressure. And oh, it's a late move as well, and it just messes up. I think he realizes right now he's under so much trouble, and it's all the way into the barrier. Broken steering on that front right. You couldn't get much worse if you tried, sadly.
Well, that puts Josh Merrin in a very tough place, trying to limp back to pits, and is going to manage so out there. Reska Kyoso, now your overall leader. DM Gal in 2nd, and Brendan Hyperstar back up into 3rd place. So it's paying off, as this is a scrap between Chesnoid and Flyers. Just in front, Ches is going to look to get the run, but Flyers now will have to open up and realise, well, yeah, I've got the place, but I have to leave the door open for the lap traffic to jump on through. It manages, and so ultimately Reska goes by Flyers up another spot.
Yeah, it's all kicking off in GT3 at the moment with these overtakes, and I think it's just... They are pushing the limit so hard on these tires right now. Once they've got up to temperature, this is the paradox. It takes almost half an hour to get them up to peak temperature, and then you spend the rest of the race trying to control that temperature. They've got such a peak performance window, or peaky performance window more like, that if you start sliding the car, it's so tricky to keep it under control, as we saw with Punju earlier. Just into the turns, the car, you can't trail brake as much, and you've got to be really cautious with your turning. If you're quite a snappy kind of driving style and aggressive with the wheel, you'll spin up the tires even into the braking zone, and it just leads to more and more overheating. The traction gets worse, the turning gets worse, so you try even harder to keep the pace, and it just becomes a spiral of bad things happening effectively.
That's wide for Ancephalosis. This will open the chance up for Christoph now. Past the convention centre on the right-hand side. Now looking, or left of screen. Now here comes the move into the Firestone turn. Thank you very much. And Christoph is back on the podium.
He's got that pace in that Lamborghini. Really is so good on the brakes. That is for sure. And for Ancephalosys, I just think he'll be happy to just... He's a driver like slotting into P2 and just trailing the guy in front or the guy or girl in front and just going with the flow. As I say, he's a very consistent driver. Maybe not the fastest driver, but he doesn't need that pace to stay in contention for podiums. And Solstice behind will probably be looking to try and get the position. Oh, Ancephalosys all the way over the curb. I don't think that's the correct line through there. Very risky with that tire bundle on the outside. But for sure, Solstice will be looking and thinking, well, if Christoph can get past that, as close as he wants to ever get to the barrier. I think there's a bit of Porsche paint on that barrier at this point.
Yeah, there is almost a gunmetal grey along that side, or a little bit of teal that is there and waiting about. That Porsche, I think, is going to be very lucky to get away without too much concern in a race like this one here. And we are soon hitting, or very much are in now, the lap traffic process of this race, with Reska Kyoso leading and DM Gal then in the second position as they work through for what is only now here at halfway, just the third laps over the top as they go. But Ancephalosys happy to be following in the wheel tracks of Christoph here, because they've got 6 seconds to work with. There is Reska Kyoso, the 113, out there in front. We normally know Reska to be out there in bright yellow to see the white, the black and the blue. A little bit different then from the brand.
Yeah, I must admit, it threw me off the first couple of laps of the race. I'm always looking for that yellow card. Then again, we've got 3 other yellow GTPs in this race, so maybe it is a welcome change, at least for this one. But they've just been on top of it in terms of this race, in terms of the consistency. We talked about just putting pressure on the driver, and for Josh Merrin, it did end up having an effect. And whether Diemgal can get close enough to apply the pressure, I think it's like the first stints. They've created a gap right now, and so the driver in P2 just has to be patient, wait for another incident, wait for another unsafety car, and that's when you can apply the pressure onto the P1 driver and not let them get away. The gap has been created. It's very difficult in multi-class races to bring that gap down by multiple seconds in one stint, but I will say we have seen it happen in Creator Series, so anything can happen, and never bet against it.
No, we've had Punju almost run into troubles at turn 1, just getting it wrong at the accurate turn. But Reska Kyoso being very patient, because you have to be in the lapping process as you wait for the best spot to get around the traffic around you. And Christoph will now, with that burst of pace that is there from the hybrid engine, get the clearance to go by and say, whoop, I am off and in the distance. DM Gal then on the hunt in second, and normally we see DM Gal running about in the GR86 class in Creator Series, proving that there is more than just GR86 pace out there. There is overall pace to be working with as we take a look at Punju, giving Ches a bit of a scare under brake, because I'm going to have to go straight on.
He's very lucky to get that stopped reversing. That is a dangerous place to be in, because another car could lose their brakes as well into there. So, yeah, very good recovery from Punju. Very sort of accepting very early in the brake phase that it had gone wrong and that he wasn't going to make the corner without punting into Chesnoid. So, intelligent driving there, still in the race, and that's exactly what you want it like in Long Beach.
You do. Focus then through by Ancephalosys goes DM Gal in the BMW, just hoping to focus through, find a mark and go by. This is what's on at the moment for third position. The Acura of Hayden Gullis trying to hunt down Brendan Hyperstar and find a way through to gain that next position up on the docket. And Hayden here, he's got the blockers there in terms of his sunglasses for the eyes out there, so he can concentrate a little bit more. In fact, they might even be color enhancers rather than blue light blockers here, and so he has a little scratch in and around it there. He's settled, he's in the zone, he knows what he's all about.
Yeah, it's only a strategy that I've seen in the World Rally Championship, to be fair, with especially like snow events like Sweden, Monte Carlo, where you wear the sort of yellow tinted glasses, but the sort of pink or violet colored glasses can have the same effect in just enhancing certain details or certain colors that you might be looking out for around the racetrack. For example, the curve, the red lines. Oh, what's happened to Reska? The gap's down to yeah, the gap's has changed and it's up to 2.7. So what has happened here? No damage visible on the car, so possibly an overshoot?
Oh, this was into turn 9, then the Firestone corner, hits the brakes, and ultimately had to just abandon it and find reverse. So DM Gal then sees that you're going the wrong way, and race lead then changes, goes to the hands of Germany here. So DM Gal will be very happy with this, and noting now that gap is down to 0.6 of a second as we got the scrap for first and third in prototypes now on at almost the halfway stage.
Yeah, Reska Kyoso immediately putting a hammer down. That's Brendan Hyperstar with a horrendous exit. Again, just not managing to get the car turned in. But then again, Hayden Gullis in the Acura not getting the boost, the hybrid out of the corner. The Porsche is much better in that regard off a very slow corner. So again, this is where you need a car difference to have a little bit of an advantage or a bit of offsets to create the opportunity. And you can see Reska Kyoso is faster right now in that Porsche right now, but can you find the gap? That is the problem. I just thinking about that incident, I think it was because they were braking all the way over that red line into turn 9, and there's just a tiny bit less grip, and especially if you're trying to load the tyre up as you turn in, I think the left-hand side of the car just locked up a little bit, and Diamgal getting a good exit here. Shouldn't be an opportunity into Firestone corner, but will it present through the hairpin? You've got to be careful when the car is so close behind.
Tell me when they sweep that section of surface out there, it does get dirty as the racing goes on, but here at the halfway stage, just tipping up onto in the next couple of laps. DM Gal having to keep Reska Kyoso at bay, who's been eternally chasing. Just in front of them, Josh Merrin, who is officially 1 lap down on the leaders, as in pit lane right now is VM Knoller, looking to get back out and going after the stop. So that stop then setting itself into motion through the Acura turn, over now to O'Reilly's at turn 2, through the fountain here and out of the Bubba Gump Fountain Club. Here's the right then of 4, around the aquarium and into turn 5, both brushing the wall just in front of Ben Serda.
Yeah, Ben Serda will want to get out of the way, I think, of this battle. I'm sure he'll be aware 2 GTPs closing in on him is not a great idea, but this will open up the opportunity for Reska. Will they try and go to the inside? Ben Serda's going to just take the middle line. It's going to be, oh, Diemgal doesn't get the move completed, goes all the way around the outside. That's dangerous at that corner, but they do get a good exit. Once again, line astern, nothing changed, and everybody survived that altercation, so not too bad right there, but it just emphasizes how quickly it can go wrong when you're pushing the limit, just trying to get past traffic. And that's a huge slide for Diemgal, just the wheel letting loose on the rear, trying to put the power down and get a wide line for the hairpin. But Reska Kyoso had to back out of that one as well, so what a lucky recovery right there.
For the community right now, they are leading both categories. DM Gal just over the curve, gets into the second part and catching a slide midway through, so maybe scrubbed the speed a little too slowly, and that caused quite a bit of malaise in terms of that move. Now, here's the issue for Reska Kyoso. You've got to be about 1 second to 2 seconds a lap quicker to be able to facilitate a pass out here at Long Beach. It's very tough to get a move.
Yes, I agree. Yes, it's very tough to get a move cleanly, but it sounds a bit cruel what I'm about to say, but at the moment, just wait for a mistake. DM Gallus hit the barrier as well at the entry to turn 5, so confidence will be at absolute 0 right now, and you can see that out of turn 8. It's just an absolute drag race down to turn 9, not close enough. I think Reska Kyoso maybe just saving a bit of hybrid, saving a bit of energy right there. But yeah, definitely confidence will be in the bin for Diemgal with 2 incidents on 1 lap. You just have to think it's only a matter of time before that pressure really gets to them.
Well, no changes between them for the moment. They'll be happy with what they're managing. Brendan Hyperstar also able to clear a bit of a gap now to Hayden Gullis, so there is not much of a concern in that sense as the field starts stringing out in GT3. You've still got Reese and Smilerbull going at it for positions 2 down there for 17th and 18th. They'll soon be upon them in this group. Oh, Reska, massive kicktail slide. What a save as the stag pits.
These two are pushing the limits of this track to 120% at this point. I do not know how these two are still in the race. There's at least 2 incidents there that could have been serious damage. So on the exit here, I think this turn 4 we're entering into right now, I think it's just a little bit too much of the curb. Yes, trying to put the power down over the curb, and it just unsettled the car.
Ice to the Stag, because the Stag's lost his rear wing and has come into pit, so this was unscheduled from the Stag.
Not ideal. For the second time in the race, the unsafety car is going for less aerodynamics. Now, I would say that's great at other circuits, but of all tracks to choose that strategy, not this one.
No, and so I think we're a little too far back on this, and we're going to need to see the lap along with the unsafety car here, and that has cost them the position to Josh Merrin out there at this point as they work through. So through turn 1 is fine. It is the Yamava turn again that has been the trouble spot and the point of worry for many and every.
That turn has been a disaster for the Cadillacs in this race. We had B-Roy, who I think was in Cadillac as well, just punting that corner at least 3 times. So let's see if we can...
We know that was Gareth's fault.
Okay, yeah, we'll blame it on Gareth. No, that's a good idea, Jake. So let's see if I can get a view on what's happened here. So I'm not noticing any sort of sliding. There's a little bit there out of turn 6, but into turn 8, it just lets go on the downhill. That's all. Oh, it was such a light tap. That is so unlucky, I will say that much.
Yeah, and now having to come back into pit again out there, and we note that this one for the Stag is a schedule, this is off the exit, sorry, then for the Stag. So has there been more dramas as they had the leaders just in front and had to get out of the way potentially. So getting back up to pace, gets a wiggle off the exit, pulls over to one side, allows the leaders to make the lapping process work. Good heads-up driving by the Stag.
And that's Mia Rose as well, that I think, hang on, the Stag may have had another incident because they've had to re-overtake Mia Rose as well at the end of the lap. So something's obviously, they've had a little bit of a twitch somewhere. But yeah, Mia Rose also not wanting to get involved in any GTP shenanigans at the moment. They are comfortable with a lead of 12 seconds at the moment. The gap still increasing. It's worth noting that the gaps in the GT3 class are really sort of drawing themselves out, a bit like a concertina effect, but in the opposite direction, like an accordion that you draw the air out of, and the gaps are increasing to, well, the lowest that I can see is about 3 seconds in the top 6, effectively. So, yeah, it's all about the GTPs at the moment with this battle for the lead.
Good 3-car battle, though, there. Because we got Chesnoid versus Reese versus Smileable, though, still. So they're going at it. In fact, Reese runs a bit wide, and this is going to give Smileable the inside line. Go on, Paul, have a go.
Drag race to turn 1. What could possibly go wrong right now? So who's going to get the braking wrong? Take your bets, place your bets, people. Not ideal, and the Mercedes backs out of it. I think that's wise, in my opinion.
Yeah, so they saw Josh Merrin coming, and because of that, Smileable was able to get that confirmed on the inside. Nothing that Reese could really do to argue about with it. I think Smileable would be very happy there in order to get that pass, and still Reska Kyoso waiting oh so patiently for a way by DM Gal, who's not really offered anything. And now here comes a case of Hayden Gullis back to the rear of Brendan Hyperstar behind Mia Rose.
Yeah, this is really just 2 battles that have been going on at the moment. Now Mia Rose has to deal with another GTP battle. Brendan Hyperstar tapping the wall a tiny bit there. No harm done, I don't think, but it's just a confidence drainer, as they say. And I will say the problem is, as you said, Jake, you need about 1 to 1.5 seconds to do an overtake around here, or you have to pressure the driver into an overtake, or into a mistake, I mean. But the main problem is if you're the driver behind and you get stuck behind a car for more than 2 or 3 laps, you kind of adapt to their driving style. You brake at the same point they brake. If you can't find a way past, you just cruise behind them. And the problem is, when an opportunity presents itself, or when you want to go for that overtake and you start taking your own racing lines, because you haven't been doing them for 2 or 3 laps, it can really lead to you making mistakes as well, just in that you're not used to it anymore, and that can lead to disaster. So if you're caught in a battle, you really want to get the move done immediately, or you'll have problems.
Well, Reska's on the wrong side of Reese here, and is not going to get the clearance until at least the exit of turn 5. So That's really going to hurt. The good news is that Ches always clipped the wall in front, and suddenly DM Gal is going to get a little bit boxed in here, and it's going to force that line to the inside. Ches battles on the brakes back, and ultimately Reska now is going to get the launch here through turn 6, the TK turn, and over towards the Yamava turn at turn 8. Lock up at the front then from DM Gal, and suddenly Reska's back in. Now was a chance to break away, and the pressure of dealing with all of that really does start to tell, and Reska Kyoso back on then and saying, right, game is back again. How do you hold on against me?
Yeah, I mean, that was very clever driving from Reska, recognizing that the overtake wasn't going to happen, first of all, on Reese, and then just sitting back, being patient, because what that, as you correctly said, what that means is that Diemgal just senses the opportunity to go for it, and you saw, went for the move into turn 8 around both of the GT3 cars, and it nearly ended in disaster. So Reska Kyoso just looking for that mistake, and it did happen, but they were just a little bit too far back, and so line astern once again. Meanwhile, also, Hayden Gullis probably is getting bored of staring at the back of that red Porsche at this point.
Yep, somebody throw a pie might be the words that will be uttered by Hayden Gullis at this moment, wanting to try and find a way through. Laptrap in front is the Stag as Smileable continues against Chesnoy Gaming here. Paul hoping to find a way. He locks up and went in a little deep in to try and get his corner, and not finding anything of what he wanted there of a line. That was a scary moment out there from a group that has now brought itself all together, and this is what happens in endurance racing. You get a little bit of room out there at certain places of the circuit, and sometimes it's rush hour traffic.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we saw it in qualifying, to be fair. This is where some incidents happen. You have to be so just cautious. And Chesnoid is defending against all of these GT3 cars and will not want to concede the track position into the braking zone effectively. So if you're in the GTP class, you'll just want to get it cleanly done on the straight, so there's no questions about it whatsoever. But if you're the car following and you just have to... Brendan Hyperstar into the braking zone. Will it go well? He kind of backs out of it. This gives the chance to...
Whoa.
That's Diemgal.
That's Diemgal. Race leader around. And safety car might need to be thrown out for it. Oh my goodness. Race leader in the barriers. Pressure tells. And ultimately there, that is everybody in and around on it. A major moment. Slides into turn 1. Bang. Into the wall. Reska Kyoto just kicks there, or almost punts it there through the front nose that came off of the front. And then the Stag gets a bit in it. Chesnoy gets into it. And everybody then joins the crew.
It's unfortunate for the Stag and Chesnoid, really. What can you say? I mean...
Unsafety car.
Yeah, unsafety car is called, quite rightly so. And it's so unfortunate, because I think what conclusions you can draw from that is that Reska Kyoso is just one of the best drivers at applying pressure. They're just so consistent, so relentless, that we've had 2 drivers this race just concede to the pressure in the most dramatic way.
Can I just point out the unsafety car was speeding on pit lane and has got a black flag penalty?
Unsafety car continues to do unsafety car things. You know what? I'm proud of them.
Well, do you know what this is going to mean? They can only go around for 4 laps. So the unsafety car, either this is going to be a 3-lap unsafety car, or they're going to have to do what they've done before when, say, a safety car runs out of fuel, get a medical car out there. Do we have an unmedical car?
Why is it a Ford Transit? Let's see what medical car we can get. But that is not ideal, for sure, for the unsafety car. But they're probably having a laugh with it down in race control, knowing race control, which is the correct way to respond to that. But yeah, a lot of cars in the pits for a fuel stop. It should maybe be the last stop until the end, as the unsafety car trying to... Oh, hang on. That's someone's lost it. Who's that? That's lost it going backwards. Flyers lost it and has spun into the barrier. That will be damage, nearly collecting Reska Kyoso as well.
Oh, wow. Flyers will be a little bit red-faced about that. Just lighting it up, cold tyres, out the pit. You've all done it once. Like, if you're out there in iRacing, you've all done it at least once. Don't lie to me, you've done it once.
I do it multiple times in a row before I stop for a tea break and then go, I'll try again in 5 minutes.
Oh, that's American racing right there for the Lamborghini.
Yeah, not ideal, not ideal. But I just think trying to get the tires warmed up before they join the safety car queue, and yeah, it's not gone well. Diamgal still in the pits with a lot of damage on that car. So
just leaving now.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, there goes the pit lane timer has stopped, and now they're just on the exit. 2 minutes 45. So not great, not terrible. They're still in the race, but they've got, I think, perhaps a lap to catch up on now.
Yeah, still in 5th. So Josh Merrin, who is 6th position, will still be behind Diamgal after that moment. But with now 47 minutes remaining in this race and 45 seconds, this has put almost a 2/3 of the raceway, I would say, dent into how everyone has been looking about going about business. We know Mia Rose controlled this race right from the very get-go, but everyone else around has certainly been throwing down and saying, look, this is what we're capable of. I do just note that the Stag has a penalty.
Oh dear, what's that for, Jake? I'm sure you can find that out for us, but the Stag doing Stag things, I mean, hopefully they've still got their rear wing in this one, but yeah, it's not going well for the Stag this time out. They're doing, they're great pace.
Pit exit. They've crossed the line before going through the white line, so they crossed the exit line and cut the corner then, basically, to get onto circuit, and the Stag has been dinged for it by iRacing Race Control.
That's an easy one to do when it's just a line on. There's so many lines down to turn 1, you know, the usual road lines that you can see right there. Then you got some yellow lines and a red line. That red line is the one that you have to pay attention to, as well as the 2 blue lines there as well. So it's really, really tricky to figure out exactly where that track limit is, and especially seeing as if you're trying to cover off another car, you can easily just clip a wheel over it and that's enough.
It very much is. For those of you, of course, noting about things that have been happening at the N24 practice, it's worth noting that we have no idea what has been happening at the N24 practice, and obviously we wish our best regards to the entire teams and the crews that work diligently to go out and do the very best that they can in all of Racing Sphere. So, right now at this point in time, they will now be eyeing up a chance to get back with 46 minutes worth of racing in. Ben Surder, the only issue with Ben Surder over the course of this race in the 309 compared to the 306, only way it's gone, the only fault you can really put in Ben Surder's running hasn't been as quick as Mia Rose.
Yeah, that's literally the only negative point of the race. Mia Rose, consistent and just that little bit faster, whether it's down to just the car, the confidence in the car, I should say. These 2 world-class drivers, I'd say, and capable of winning on their day. So will we see a change about? We've seen it happen sometimes. Let's see if it happens again.
Yeah, we certainly need to be keeping an eye out on these changes, seeing who's going to manage what, who's going to get where. And Punju now getting onto the back of the Stag, now finding the field as sorted. Still waiting for Storm Melina to get another lap around as well. So worth keeping an eye out on the unsafety car, who very unsportingly out there, John, the unsafety car, has had the black flag removed.
Oh, what a shame. I was hoping to see some more shenanigans of how the unsafety car was going to get out of this one. But there you go. Sometimes you have to take the racing into account, as they say. So that's Stormelina going by the turn 10 complex here, I'll call it, and rejoining the pack there. There is the end of the unsafety car pack. So it looks like everyone has got back to the end of it. So we should be, in the next couple of laps, going racing once again. And you have to say, for people maybe that pitted a few laps earlier, they'll be marginal on fuel, so they'll have to wait and see. That's Stormelina still getting another lap back. So by my calculations, maybe 2 laps here.
So now I start looking at numbers. Everyone came in and everyone is running basically to the best of what they can, as good as they can out there towards the end. It's going to be tough here for the GTPs to make the end of this race on a fuel number unless they are babying it around the circuit. This might be one of those late races where it's not about who's quickest, it's about who's saving best.
Yeah, by my calculations, about 40 minutes they can go, best case scenario. So they're a couple of minutes short, a couple of laps short on fuel. They can save that during a race stint, but if they're battling, it's going to be so difficult, and they will be battling on the unsafety car restart. So that's going to be interesting to see who goes for it to get track position, who stays back to kind of save fuel. So yeah, we'll see some lifting, coasting. We may even see some running out of fuel, like we did in one of our other races a few days ago, as they say.
So there is Hayden Gullis just holding third position at the moment, a lofty height in the yellow and blue at this point for him, knowing that he's got the very quick Josh Merrin in fourth position, and that's going to be the concern of everyone in the field, knowing how quick Josh Merrin's been all day long.
Yeah, indeed. Josh Merrin has just been the fastest in terms of lap times, fastest just of everyone at the moment. And they've just been poodling along effectively, just trying to get back in the race. But now they see everyone in front of them and just see, basically, I can overtake these people and get back into P1. This race could still be mine. And as we were talking about right at the start, it's anybody's game up until the last 15 minutes.
Always has been, always will be, and I'd say it's anyone's game right up to the end of running at this point, as they will set on for the end of this race and know that there are those who have gained through, and the consistency of Ancephallosis to get up to third from 18th on the grid. Solstice up into 5th position has done very well. Christoph back into 4th will also be a threat for Mia Rose late on in the GT3 field. And it's worth noting, Ancephallosis and Solstice, they're trying to get something done for the creators themselves. If the creators get locked out at the podium, what is that going to say about Creator Series? We might have to start calling it Creator Community Series.
Well, I'm sure Gareth would enjoy changing all of the scenes and the broadcast package to that new name. So I validate that one, Jake. You know what? But definitely the problem is effectively for the runners is that they're used to running perhaps one car in the Creator Series, and some of them have changed cars, so that hasn't helped them, to be fair. But also, as we've said, it's a chance for the community entries to show their mettle, to show their performance, and they are taking stock of that and they are using it to 100%. I don't blame them, and it just shows also the strength and depth that the communities out there have. We've got a lot of drivers out there that have a huge amount of following, and a lot of the drivers in those communities are capable of putting on standout racing for themselves as well, so that has to be applauded.
Certainly will do. And so now, how does this set itself about? We understand that the unsafety car is going to be in at the end of this lap. That will leave them just 1/3 of the race to go, about 40 minutes. And look at the desperate weave there, John, from everybody trying to get tyre temperature. How critical it will be to get tyre temperature for the opening couple of laps to go and get back up to speed. The good news for them, 48-degree track temperature out there at the moment. It's a fixed weather condition at 12:35 in sim time. So basically, this track is hot and will stay hot.
Yeah, that will help with warm-up. It will help with grip, but it could be a bit of a peaky grip conditions overall, as we've seen.
And safety car.
They've gone ramming straight into the wall at turn 9 right there, trying to flip over the barrier. Sadly, did not happen, but that was a huge one once again. I think the black flag might not matter anymore, as they say.
It won't. It's damaged. It will take a tow. It will get a fast repair, and it will be able to go out there and do some more. Reska Kyoso then has the control of the field and should elect to launch. And actually, there was a massive amount of overlap here at Long Beach there that Brendan Hyperstar couldn't chase down. Big gap away.
Once again, Reska Kyoso learning from what Josh Merrin did, and it's worked a treat once again. So Brendan Hyperstar again in P2 will just try and defend, and here we see the GT3 cars getting underway as well. Mia Rose leading that pack once again. Ben Soda in P2. Mia Rose has got the jump, and Cephalosis in huge pressure right now from Christoph. Can there be an overtake right now? And I think Brendan Hyperstar has got into some trouble as well, dropping down to P5. So there's been, turn around, that's the unsafety car facing backwards. The Stag having a huge amount of problems, and that has created a huge gap right there.
Yeah, just lost it through turn 4. Brendan just made a mistake through O'Reilly's at turn 2. The Stag apart then of the barrier for a moment, but has got the clearance, and there's more smoke across then from DM Gal in 3rd position. Josh Merrin, in 4th position. Josh Merrin up to 3rd for the moment, and now here comes the look on Hayden Gullis, who's going to go breezing by on the outside, but Gullis keeping the foot in, but round you go. Josh Merrin up to 2nd.
Yeah, opportunistic and making the most of it. Lovely stuff. He's got the confidence, hasn't he? Does he have the pace? Oh, a little bit wide, nearly into the barrier there on the exit of the hairpin. But you definitely sense he's got the pace in this one, and he could go and chase down Rescacioso. Gap of 3 seconds after 1 lap. That has been helped, obviously, by Brendan Hyperstar's misfortunes right there. But will we see any lifting and coasting? What kind of strategies are they on? Meanwhile, down in the GT3 cast, Christoph is up into P2. So Ben Serda's had a bit of a problem.
That's a big old hit into the barriers, and Paul, that's a real shame, was just trying to get out of the corner quick, and the car has just looped itself around. Nothing he can do, gets through on the power, and it's almost like it just continued on same track as if the steering wheel never moved. Of course it did, and Paul will know that, and Paul will know that he's going to be damaged in that Porsche.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. Mid-engine is so tricky once it starts rotating. You've got to be so quick to catch it, otherwise it does spin around. Traction control can't do much about it. So, yeah, so unfortunate. And, yeah, and Tefilosis down to P6 with that as well. So I think getting caught up in all of that drama. So here we go. I think there was a car off in the background there, if I'm not mistaken. But may have just been a bit of bodywork or something like that. But, yeah... It was, dearie me, I did see someone go off. It was a yellow car, Punju. So just misjudging, and I think into the barrier perhaps as well.
Well, he's avoided barrier, but he's just gone straight on deep, and you don't get to see that too often, but they've learned if you're going to keep the car in one piece, you've got to abandon straight away, effectively taking tram tracks.
Lucky, very lucky, but very well considered and recovered right there for sure. Do not pay attention to the final lap timer. That's just an overlay problem right there. We'll get that sorted. It is a timed race, and we have about 35 minutes remaining in this session, so no alarms needed right there. And Demgal just trying to attack right now. Hayden Gullis, who's not dropped off in terms of pace. He's looking a lot more consistent, isn't he, Jake, at this stage in the race compared to the start?
Oh, very much so. And that consistency, that value that we have been keeping a good note on out there has been a truly wonderful case of running that we have seen from Rescacioso. Just been managing the gap, has been pulling this forward, but keep an eye on Josh Merrin here and what the difference is between them. So Rescacioso is going to cross the line and is going to be able to do a 1:14.3. Merrin also a 1:14.3, so the gap around 3 seconds. They are pushing each other here to go as hard as they possibly can, and noting that we are sat down with about 35 minutes to go. So we've got a scoring bug on our side, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, it's going to be the final lap of this race for another 35 minutes yet, plus added time remaining.
Just puts the extra pressure onto the drivers, doesn't it, when you see that? But I love that. That's fine. And the gap, yeah, definitely coming down this lap a little bit. But is that just a strategy of fuel saving right now? I think we're seeing sort of calculated times coming in right now. Gap is closing here by about 0.2 of a second on this lap. So it is coming down. Oh, DM Gal with a huge snap over between turn 6 and 7. And that is Hayden Gullis, a huge snap of oversteer, turn 8 as well. So really dire straits for these drivers at the moment. And Jamgal's going to chuck one down the inside. Oh, that's late breakers. Hayden Gullis so good on the brakes, though. The Acura definitely great in that braking phase, and it just means they can defend really hard and keep that podium position at the moment. But it's all hands on deck in the defence at the moment, as the gap has come down by about 0.4 of a second for the lead right now.
It has, and so the margin continues to be notched away out there. The Stag down in the pits as far as things go, so it's just about leaving pits now with the damage that was there. Hayden Gullis in third. This is staunch in terms of dealing with DN Gal, trying to keep a creator entry out of the GTP podium here with Brendan Hyperstar shadowing in the distance. Front four right now in GT3 or GTD, however you want to say it, are both entries here for the community, with Solstice, the best of those not from the community but representing the creators, in 5th place. So as far as I'm mapping this down at the moment, this is a community win as far as it stands.
This is definitely shaping up to be a strategy finish, let's say. It's DMGal just showing the nose in the mirrors, as they say, just to put Hayden Gullis. Oh, this is an attempt. Oh, there's been contact. No way. Hayden Gullis has been spun around, nearly Brendan Hyperstar into the side of Hayden Gullis. Just DMGal trying to go up the inside. Oh, Brendan Hyperstar's overshot the hairpin. It's all going wrong in the GTP class at the moment. That all started. Let's see if we can get a replay. So Hayden Gullis is going to go steaming into turn 9 and just doesn't anticipate DMGal throwing it up the inside, and contact made immediate thing, and Hayden into the barrier. That will be damage. He tries to get it stopped. He does get it stopped, but can't get it going again. And then further on, that was, I think, Brendan Hyperstar still reeling from what just happened in front of him and just got it wrong. And there he is. He had to select reverse, I think. Incredible scenes at the end of this lap.
And further on to that point as well, John, when you go into that, it's a tiny, tiny tap between them. And when you get these cars that get very, very loose and don't like being bustled or jostled about in any way because they've got so much aerodynamics on them, you push them in any way, shape or form, it's so easy for them to go around.
Yeah, it's also down to the hybrid unit as well. So the hybrid unit generates battery power by loading the rear axle. So it applies a braking force, to put it into basics, where effectively it's applying, like hitting the handbrake, a tiny, tiny little bit into a corner on the rear axle especially. And because you've got the weight on the front with the braking, all it takes is a small tap to unload the rear tyres. And because the hybrid unit will keep trying to get battery power into the corner, it will spin you around as if you've hit the handbrake. And so it's, from a driver's perspective, it's nearly impossible to recover. And that's why Hayden just went spinning around with that tiny little bit of contact, sadly.
Yeah, so they know how difficult this is and how everyone now... Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right then. Yeah, there's the difference maker.
So what's happened here, this is turn 9 once again, so you can see, reading in the gap, that's about 2 seconds by my calculation, and he's lost it on the curb. He's gone all the way over and bounced it off, and then it's rotated, hasn't it?
Yeah, pushed a bit
just
too
in front
hard.
of the contact.
Yeah, you see that in the background. There was more that was going on through there too.
That was the incident with Hayden.
Yeah, so that was Hayden's incident. And so Josh Merrin, I think, got away with it because we were looking at Hayden Gullis having his big scare. So ultimately, DMGal only 5 seconds off of Josh Merrin. Reska Kyoso, 8 seconds down the road now, effectively 6.3. How much is this going to give Josh Merrin a chance to actually set this up and say, I'm going to have to really charge? We take a look here with half an hour left on the clock. We've gone and done it the best we can out there. The scenario we've got Punju here looking for 6th place, trying to get by Storm Molina.
Yeah, Punju regaining confidence. Oh, a little bit too much confidence on the throttle there. A little bit of a snap, a little bit of a wiggle from the car, complaining with the tyres, that's for sure. And that will just make sure that it's a little bit too far off. And Punju just flashing the lights, just saying, hey, I'm here. We're probably not in the same race, although Storm Molina will say, I'm battling for position no matter what my pace is. Hang on a minute. That's Hayden Gullis in the barrier.
Oh, and that's more than Hayden Gullis in the barrier. That is DMGal in the huge amount of trouble there going through the fountain. So it looks like DMGal has gone off of their own accord. Hayden had an around of his own doing out there through turn 1. So 2 separate incidents then that have both caught drivers out at the accurate turn.
So what has happened to Hayden Gullis? Because the car's already there.
Lost it on his own.
Yeah, I'm
just
guessing
overcooked it in.
Let's see if we can have a replay of that. So he's already had the incident right there. So just to go back to DMGal's incident, just again, locking the brakes into, I think it was locking the front left into the first turn. Once again, is so easy to do on the painted lines. So over the painted lines, not the easiest of braking right there, and it's swapped ends. Oh, he's clipped the barrier. That's a huge one with the tyre bundle right there.
I think Hayden's trying to get an unsafety car here, and at the moment, I don't think you're going to get one, mate.
Hey, the commitment to the bit. You have to admire it. You have to just give him a tip of the hat, as they say. You're doing your best out there trying to get that unsafety car to come out. I think they're all in repairs at this point, to be fair. So good luck on that one. But yeah, indeed, it's all in the wars at the moment. And I tell you what, as well, it's heating up because Christoph is being caught as well by Ben Serda, the battle that you see on screen right now. Christoph in the Lamborghini, Ben Serda following in the Corvette at the moment. So these two have been battling it out for the first part of the race, and now they're coming together once again. It was, of course, Ben Serda leading the pack beforehand. Now it's Christoph under pressure. So these two will probably be battling for the majority of this race unless something else happens. Mia Rose just getting that gap out again to about 7 seconds at this point. So Mia Rose just, as you said, Jake, having a lot more pace, but these two are battling for a podium.
There's Hayden left-hand side, still committed to it. Hasn't found the escape button at any point in time. But Ancephalosis here in a really big scrap with Flyers. This is for a top 5 out there. And Ancephalosis has been a top 6. Ancephalosis has been really good at holding ground, holding steady, saying, look, there is no way I'm going to let this one go. But unfortunately, down the inside, I'm going to have to let this one go.
Yeah, it just happens. You can't defend every single time. You've got to recognise in a sprint endurance race, as I call it, that you can't just have all of that pressure on your shoulders all the time. Sometimes it's better to follow the faster car or the car that has more confidence, because one, you may learn something, you may pick up the pace, but also two, it just compromises your race pace too much. So it could be the case for these two as well. Christoph and Ben Serda might just agree to follow line astern for a little bit, just to see if they can close the gap on Mia Rose, although that gap is still increasing as well.
Mia's been faultless in this race. That AMG Mercedes has pulled a gap and nobody's been even remotely close to getting towards it right now. And so she has been in a dominant display of driving at this moment. And I'm not sure they can do what they can out there. So that is really tough to navigate through. And with 26.5 minutes, this is hold on and say, can I go? And manage through the rest of this race the same way I've conducted the first hour and a half.
Yeah, it's just, again, that complacency that happens. You just have to just find a way to keep your mind concentrated, really. It can be many, many things. You could just have to find that groove and stick with it. You know, drivers talk about the zone a lot, but the problem is with the zone, if there's any little thing that makes you come out of that zone, for whatever reason, it can have devastating consequences. So drivers will train, especially if they like endurance racing, they'll train the habits and all of that of what exactly to do. As Ben Serda was really close there through the end section of that lap. Not a great exit for the Corvette there out of the hairpin. So once again, the Lamborghini really punchy out of the corners. And that means that Christoph can really sit pretty in P2 at the moment.
Yeah, they can sit really pretty. They can understand that they've got a really good race on their hands, and Ben Serda will turn around. We'll see Christoph there in front in second, and it's pressure on, and this is effectively battle for the minor spot on the podium. So it's all about who can manage what. This is Italy versus America in that it's not quite Ford versus Ferrari, but it's the battle of the Mavericks, so to speak. It is Lamborghini versus Corvette.
An age-old battle, as they say. I remember all the way back to the GT1 class where they were battling out Corvette versus Lamborghini at that time, also versus Aston Martin as well. What legendary battles. And I will say the GT3 class really stirs it up as well in terms of the just drama that you have. You have to say the GT3 class is one of those classes that is just age-old perfection in terms of its longevity, the amount of cars that you have in the class, and its popularity as well. Yeah.
Getting out of the way, lap traffic, then on your own class. That's always the worst feeling.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Ches. He's got pace. There's inklings of pace. Every single race we've seen in the Creator Series is just the bad luck. Hang on a minute, who's this? Flyers round, I think?
It does look like Flyers, and it is going to be a case of everyone turning around for it there. Doesn't quite get the drift through turn 10, and nearly backs out into Ancephalosis. Goodness gracious me, that's a poor rejoin.
Yeah, it's anything but Gucci, as they say, looking at the side of that car. But yeah, Reese getting held up as well. Brendan Hyperstar having to take avoiding action. So difficult because you can't really know the turning circle of your car. It's not really something you practice. So unless you're like me and you spin off on every turn, then you do practice it. But yeah, it's one of those things. No harm done, just time lost. People may be a little bit frustrated at that, but it's part of racing.
Oi!
Oh, I tell you what, brave man, Ancephalos. Well, of recovery, well avoided. That's definitely training from our WRC series. I can tell you that much.
Oh, you can say that, but unfortunately for you, John, when you've been doing the WRC series, the trees don't move and you still find a way to get them.
Still won some trophies, so I'll take it as a 50-50 win there on that one. But yes, you're quite right. The walls, like the trees, do not move, as they say, or as I'd like to say, they sometimes move out onto the racing line, and that's what's caused the incidents, not my skill issue.
Well, for the moment, Punju sitting then in 4th position and has just got through a bit of traffic as Ben Surder again close, but not offering anything against Christoph. Happy to sit at about 4-5 tenths of a second, just offer up latent pressure, but nothing more than that. There is DM Gal, who is a lap down, directly behind Punju for the moment. So a case for Punju of holding a 6-second margin over Storm Molina. So this is still in the no mistakes range.
Yeah, indeed. I'm chuckling to myself because I think I've seen Hayden Gullis still on the outside of turn 2. So yeah,
Hi, Hayden. He's moved.
He has moved. I mean, yeah, valiant effort at getting off the racing line, but the commitment to the bit is a little bit perusing at this point, let's say.
You know that video of the squirrel that decides that it's going to feign its own issues out there and pulls the mop over the top of himself? That's Hayden.
Yeah. That's a reference. I like that one. Yes, indeed. That's possibly the best description I've heard of that. Yeah, incredible, Jake. But yeah, Punju really just... Oh, Jim Gow, I think there was a bit of contact in the background there. Just recovered it through turn 8, but that was really bad. Maybe just having to punch the brakes mid-corner to avoid the GT3. So let's have a look. This is into turn 8. What? No, they just lost it. Lost it on the acceleration, trying to get Punchy out of the corner, and the rear tire is just saying, I cannot do anything like that kind of traction.
4.4 now, the gap down in the race lead. I don't think Reska Kyoso is 100% safe just yet. Josh Merrin in the Jota livery here is really starting to hunt back down this gap and doing a lot. We are going to bring in Hayden Gullis for a moment. Hayden, they're not throwing an unsafety car for you. It's so unjust, isn't it?
I know, it's outrageous. I'm really enjoying the beat that my engine's kind of giving against the wall right now. It's like Queen, We Will Rock You right now, so I'm just enjoying that.
How's the view there from turn 2?
It's great, yeah.
I got a cup of tea there?
I turned it around a little bit, and I've kind of blocked myself, so maybe it might be a better decision just to roll it back so I can kind of park parallel. Oh, it's actually not reversing. Hang on.
Oh, now you are going to cause a trouble for everyone.
we might. Hang on, we're out of the way. Yeah, see, so I can look to the right, and I can look to the left, and it's great. I think I've got the best seat in the house right now.
Hayden, have you tried putting up all the revs so you can blow your engine, create a smoke screen? Do you think that will cause you an unsafety car?
If that is what you want, I can do that. If you tell me now.
It's not my decision, it's yours. Okay. We hold no responsibility up here.
Hey, look, I'm going to tell them at the end of the day, the commentary team told me to blow up my engine.
Live testing. How long can a GTP engine last at full revs with absolutely no cooling? I didn't realize we were on an episode of Mythbusters right now.
Water temp's getting high. It's building.
Uh-oh.
We're getting there.
We are getting there, and that could be a problem out there. But Hayden, you had a really nice run as we note DM Gal now with hefty amount of damage to deal with. So DM Gal looking to just try and lift the car back to pits. But there you go. There goes the engine. Surely they've got to throw an unsafety car now for it. Hayden, you've got to get on radio.
Yeah, I'll let them know. I literally cannot move now. It was going so well. And then it wasn't, sadly. Yeah.
I'll take the opportunity to ask. There was a good part of the race. You had a lot of fun out there before it went wrong.
I wouldn't really say a lot of fun. These cars, with the way that the I just felt like they never got up to temperature. I felt like I could never lean on it. I'm not one of the fastest guys in the world when it comes to any sort of sim racing. But I always know that I can have a bit of confidence and lean on the car. I just haven't felt like that all day. And then getting the rear wing damage from the silly send from Diamgal, just it was never going to hold. It held for like a lap, but you know, I was just getting lucky on that lap. So yeah, I wouldn't really say I was enjoying it, but I was in a nice position at least.
Final question before we let you go and talk to race control, Hayden. How apropos is it that your day ends at the Acura turn?
Yeah, I feel like it's very fitting. Very fitting. Although it did end at the corner before the hairpin, realistically. I was just a ticking time bomb after that one. But yeah, let's see if there's an unsafe safety car. But I feel like there's only a handful of laps left to go.
Well, Hayden Gullis there, joining us then from the side of the circuit then, and hoping that race control can throw out an unsafety car for him to continue, because the engine has gone pop now there as Josh Merrin took a second out on the last lap and 7/10 the lap before. The gap is down to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, indeed. I'll also say, if our producer can bring up the incident or collision that happened with Diamgal maybe a few laps ago while we were talking to Hayden, because I'd like to see exactly what happened. Was it the same case of just a little bit too overconfident? Let's have a look. I think that's already happened. Yeah, there's damage there. So let's see, no damage here, so that cover is still on the wheels. It's down into turn 1 again, isn't it? Yeah, so tricky. On the same things happen again, into the barriers. Whoa, that's gone all the way off, and they've drifted into the road as well. Not ideal.
Big hit, put them back down in pit lane. They are 2 laps down at the moment, is Diamgal. And so very tough to go and deal with. There's the look from outside, tried to get it to turn in. It didn't, and ultimately there's not much that they could do about it. So very tough to deal with, but ultimately that is the state of racing. Still looking to get that tow and maybe even a fast repair in play. Merrin gap down to 2 seconds now against Reska Kyoso. Every single corner, this is just the hunt and the chase. But getting up to Reska Kyoso is one thing. Having the confidence to get by will be the next.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things you just have to keep piling on the pressure as before. Reska Kyoso will see that the gap is coming down, but they have to play at least their consistency card. They know that they probably won't be the one making the mistake, and they just have to not fall foul to the same tactics that they use of just piling on the pressure and waiting for the mistake. They have to be aware that it can be used against you if you use it against other people. People cotton on to good tactics like that and use them to their best ability as well. Spiderball getting out of the way there as well. So, yeah, Reska getting quite well off in terms of overtaking right there. But then again, Josh Merrin getting the ever better slipstream down the main straight.
15.5 minutes then left. Gap of 1.5 seconds, and only now to clear BM Knoller between them, and not getting much help then through O'Reilly's turn 2, then getting the clearance through at the Bubba Gump Fountain Club, then through 3 and into 4, past the aquarium and now up into the very tricky turn 5, trying to get the perfect line that sets on out. And so now you start wondering, 1.7, 1.8, it's exploded out the gap a little bit out there, and so really you start wondering, where can you get the difference? And speaking of differences right now, keep an eye on that battle for second in GT3.
Yeah, it's really heating up. Ben Serda all over the back of Christoph, but also Josh Merrin there just getting so loose in turn 8. It can really into disaster. I think Brendan Hyperstar has had a little bit of a problem here. That car is not handling. He's hit the wall somewhere. Something bad has happened. We'll have to see. We'll be able to have the cameras on it right now. Is that handling okay? It looks like it. It's broken up the battle, actually, for this, the top 2 there in... second and third place in GT3 just for the time being. So Christoph getting a welcome reprieve, and I think something has happened, because that amount of light flashing usually means there's been some contact.
Yeah, so Brendan here will look around at it. I think the car looks okay, and the light flashes found back in tow there by Brendan Hyperstar. So I think there's no contact necessarily between them. It's just a case of couldn't quite get the way through, lunged at turn 1 and basically had to wait all the way to turn 9 before getting the clearance. So nearly a lap having to be stuck behind. But now, within a second, it's Josh Merrin up against Reska Kyoso. And this is where Reska's going to have to look behind. He's going to have to be quite honest and say, can I hold out? Now that's going to be interesting here. Encephalosis might have to do the job to keep Josh Merrin behind. Gets a little wide and the door is going to be ajar. And are you going to get the clearance? No! Oh! Encephalosis is going to do a favour then for a teammate. Reska Kyoso finally gets the clearance. 1.4 there and a big aggressive move over from Josh Merrin going, I did not appreciate that. But that was a move and moment where Reska can say, I'm going to be safe for 2 more laps. And you take 2 more laps, you take a few more minutes out there. That is a very important moment in the dying ambers of this race. Reska Kyoso will look around at that and say, my teammate out there for the main series, which finishes on Thursday, has gone and done me a huge favour. Merrin gets the gap down to 1.1 and still Ben Serda hopes to find a way to get through and find a way by. But critically, John, encephalosis doing a favour for Reska Kyoso.
Yeah, really, just luck of the game, as they say. I think, you know, it has to happen that some drivers get some luck and others at the end of the day will just fall foul to it. That's part of racing. You just have to keep a calm head. But for Reska Kyoso, they'll know that that's just another sort of tick in the boxes of winning the race, as they say. You just have to have these elements fall in your favour.
You do. Ben Serda still waiting, still trying to find that chance, but the gap is just a little too far here from Christoph, who holds at about 2.5 to 3 car lengths here, the difference as they run through into the Yamawa turn here, the Yamawa turn getting itself sorted, and now back into play is going to be the chance to try and move on by just diving between them. There is Punju, who gets the clearance through and says, you know what, I'm dealing with that, but suddenly they're going to be nose to tail again, and there is going to be a chance for the inside. Not going to happen.
Yeah, the funny thing is that the prototype cars are not faster through that last hairpin, and so even though the GTPs would expect the hypercars to just pull away, it won't happen until the main straight. So the Lamborghini has to kind of check up and get the dirty air from the GTP, and it just gives an opportunity for Ben Serda to make the overtake. It hasn't happened here, but it's just another inkling of pressure, that 1% pressure that can make a difference at the end of the day. But yeah, it will pan out. There's 10 laps to go. 10 minutes to go. I'll get my words out eventually. And that means that, you know, the heart rate will be a little bit higher than it would be mid-race. You know that you're going for a great position right now, and it's starting to matter.
It is mattering because they know they're trying to eye up that final moment here to go and get that pass, and back under a second again is Reska Kyoso and Josh Merrin. So they now find themselves once again back in the same piece of real estate, as there is going to be potentially a move offered here down into turn 9 at the Firestone corner. Not going to get there, but I want to go back to leaders overall here, because there you go. Josh Merrin, he's right there against Reska Kyoso, and now this is the test of testaments.
Indeed, this will prove if Reska Kyoso can withhold or withstand the pressure more than Josh Merrin and Diamgal could do earlier in the race. You can see the rear end a little bit loose there for Reska Kyoso. I think Josh Merrin just has a bit more of a handle, or just is changing the brake balance a little bit better at this stage in the race. And you really have to play with it a little bit just to maintain the performance. However, a great exit there. This should mean that they are safe at least for the first part of the lap. So for Josh Merrin right now, it's about looking at the time and thinking, well, I've only got limited opportunities, probably once a lap where I can attempt to set up an overtake over multiple corners and hope that something happens. So you're looking at possibly 7 overtakes, perhaps, possible overtaking opportunities. That is not a lot.
It's not a lot, and so there is going to be still chances galore though, and a slight almost tap of the wall. 0.3 of a second that now sets itself in. Josh Merrin, can you find a way to go and make this happen? Can you find the magic formula inside these final 10? Oh, huge slide. That's going to drop some time. You're going to have to do the work all over again. Oh, you've done so much effort to wind up the ball of wool, and ultimately you've fallen down there and said, nothing I can do about it. Just dropping the wool yarn out there at the moment, and the gap just spreads back out once again to a second.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you pull a gear sometimes and it just rotates a little bit more than you want. The engine braking happens. You just want that punch out of the corner, the extra RPM. You get a bit greedy, and that's what happens downhill, like applying the handbrake once again. It's such a pointy car to drive, this Porsche GTP, and yeah, the 963 takes no prisoners once again, but luckily kept it out of the barrier.
Did so, and by keeping it out of the barrier, the chance presents. Solstice then is going to be next to try and lap, who is 5th overall at the moment in your GT3. So right now, it stands on ceremony that Reska Kyoso needs the clearance to go through. Do not open up any opportunity. Gets to the inside. Solstice abandons ship late. And round goes Merrin! Round goes Josh Merrin! That's the race!
Whoa, he's got to recover it as well. Get out of the danger zone. Yes, okay, recovered. But that is a huge shot to the ego right there. Just again, like it happened last lap. Let's have another look at this there. So again, down into turn 6. And this whole complex of corners here. So nothing to indicate that anything is amiss with that car. But again, into the braking zone. I think it was just concentrating too much on the cars ahead. And yes, again, around it goes, even before the apex. He did very well to keep it out of the barrier, however.
Another little look then at it, going up over the top, then out of the TK turn of turn 6 and 7 into 8, just scaring over on the inside, just trying to carry too much trail brake through the corner, and Josh Merrin realizes this one ahead of anything else, that one has all gone wrong, and there is nothing that you can do except try and bring it home and dry. For second, it continues with 6 minutes to go. Christoph versus Ben Surder. These two have been battling in 86s all season long. They are looking now at this going, well, we've given ourselves more brake horsepower, more downforce, more everything to go out there and battle, and we're still locked together.
Yeah, worth shouting out Leitat also in P4 as well, community entry. So the community entries are doing a masterclass in the GT3 category right now. Top 4 for all of them. Solstice, the only one breaking a streak of top 5 right now for the community entries. I mean, that's incredible scenes right there. Wonderful, wonderful talent on display. I just want to say also about the Josh Merrin incident, I think it could have been a tap of the brakes, just trying to avoid the Porsche there on the exit. Porsche, the GT3 car, did nothing wrong whatsoever. It just happened that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Josh Merrin just reacted, possibly not by tapping the throttle, but just by trail braking to just give them a bit of room, and that made the spin happen effectively. Although it was already happening on the apex and made it worse. But it looks like Ben Surder's really got the hammer down right now, pounding through every single corner, isn't it?
Yeah. Every time you watch this Corvette, it's trying to figure out, is there a way I can get by the Lamborghini? But that Lamborghini gets out of the corners really well, the Huracan. And so that's going to be the difference maker here. This Corvette is going to be a really, really important moment late on in the running. And so is there enough to go to second? Is there enough to stay in third, potentially? That's what you're talking about. Fine margin differences between am I second or am I third, and how you pick up the run out of the final corner. And again, just can't get the power down quick enough is Ben Surder. The gap opens up, maybe needing that race leading 113 behind to make a difference, who crosses with 423 remaining in, or 425 remaining in the race. And so I put that down as 3 laps to go.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to be marginal. I think you're right, though. 3 laps to go, and they're really pushing it round the fountain section right now. Just hugging that curb on the inside, but it can be really tricky. Well, the Corvette just having a bit of traction loss as well. Got the, I think that's the Resca Kyoso behind them as well, so they don't want to get involved in taking out the race leader. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. I think, oh, right up the inside. My days. That's one way to do it.
That is a great move, and one that has certainly gone and made things very difficult. For those wondering why Hayden Gullis is still out there, he wanted the unsafety car to come out, but ultimately too far over on the inside and too close to the end of the race. They've said, nope, you don't get one out there at this point. So that is tough as far as it sets. He's currently 11 laps down in 7th position, but Resca Kyoso making the progress forward with Christoph and Ben Serda there, who are sat and waiting for a way to go and get themselves then into position. So very tough with a couple of laps to go, but Ben Serda is seeing that gap really rocketing away now.
There is good news, however, on the race control / director front, is that you can officially review Hayden Gullis under the 107% rule. He's 11 laps down, so is possibly Hayden Gullis too slow for the Creator Series? You heard it here first. However, moving back to the battles, it definitely looks like Resca Kyoso is just keeping that gap a little bit. Oh, Benson off in the background. Incredible spins out of turn 5, just losing the traction over the little crest there all by himself, and he had a margin to go, so no damage done. But it will be possibly the end of that battle. Yeah, just bouncing and getting traction lost. The traction control can't do anything about that. And now under pressure from Leitat for P3.
Yeah, so this is where Layla can jump up and she can get herself up into 3rd position if she has enough prowess late to go and take advantage on the vulnerable Ben Serda here at this point. With Josh Merrin there going by the pair of them, they know they're sitting here on 2 laps to go in this one, and understanding now that a podium at stake, and this would be big for Solstice's community out there. They've got Solstice herself in 5th, Leitat's 666 then in 4th position, and desperately trying to find a way to jump on forward and get right on in and say, look, I can go, straight on, bang, Diemgal, bang, that's the hit, and that's the clearance through for 3rd. Ben Serda's going to be done.
That's a huge incident. I hope nobody's hurt themselves with their wheels on that one, because when you have the force feedback turned up really high, sometimes if you're not expecting the collision, it can catch you by surprise like that. Whoa, that's a heavy hit. That will be a tow back to pit lane. They will join Hayden Gullis in the pits as well. So unfortunate. I think Diemgal has damage. Yeah, look, there was damage previously, so something else has happened on this lap. And they've had no downforce into there. That's huge miscalculation. Not even close to making the corner.
Solstice was also caught up in it because the tow couldn't happen quick enough. So Solstice trying to get this back. Look at it, it's crabbing. It'll be for 2 laps. Can you just hold on? Late, last lap now starts for Resca Kyoso as Solstice limping about. We'll take a look, or try to take a look at what happened as there we can see your leader into turn number 1. For what will be the accurate turn, the final time through O'Reilly's, and managed the race really effectively. Not many unsafety cars out there to go and deal with. A final lap that for everybody here has just been holding its breath and waiting to see whether there would be a big difference maker in the final stages. Ultimately, for Resca Kyoso, there's a reason why that as far as VTubers go, that is the #1 VTuber in the world of racing at this moment. There's a reason why he is able to say both him and Ancephalosis are fighting for the Creator Series crown. And the reason why is because of consistency value like that. Not the quickest on raw pace, but able to get it around for 2 hours worth of running. Nobody else can say they've done so without really any form of mistake. Resca Kyoso to the final corner at Long Beach, and we'll see Mia Rose pull over to one side and say in form they will both get to the line and take respective categories. Resca Kyoso wins in LMPs or GTPs. In GT3s, it's Mia Rose.
Formation finish at the ends there. You couldn't have a more poetic end to that. Both of them have just been picture perfect in their class, as they say. So amazing scenes. Josh Merrin will cross the line P2, and Christoph will cross the line P2 as well in their respective categories, and that will be Leitat taking a P3 as well, with Ben Serda's demise there. You have to say on that one, it's very small things that lead to very big consequences, as we've seen all along, but especially in the Creator Series. Very unfortunate. Brendan Hyperstar, as we are seeing around the final hairpin right now for P3, hunted down by Punju. It's not going to be enough. You see Punju in the background there. Just a couple more laps, but Brendan Hyperstar will bring it home in P3. Well deserved in the wars, but kept it consistent toward the end.
Very consistent, very well run, and some very, very good finishes then across the entirety of it. Brendan Hyperstar will be happy with that third, was chased late down by Punju and couldn't quite make that all work, but that will be the field then coming across, or if not all, over the line then, and done with racing action then here today. Just waiting on those to finally see the finishing line, but it will be a case then of car number 113 going to get the job done, and get the job done by a margin of 12.3 seconds over the line. Reska Kyoso beating out Josh Merrin for honours today, as Brendan Hyperstar would finish off in third, with Punju fourth, Storm Molina fifth, and DM Gal then 12 laps down, a retirement in sixth place. Hayden Gullis was desperate for an unsafety car, wouldn't get one in seventh. The Stag out of the race as well in the 666, with Litz Fox ninth and B-Roy then rounding out 10. John, why don't you take us through GT3?
GT3 was a dramatic race once again. Mia Rose basically leading from the get-go all the way to the line. Will take a deserved victory in this one. Christoph P2 after battling at the start in P2. They remain in P2 after that battle with Ben Serda. 15 seconds adrift. Leitat takes a P3 with 21 seconds adrift. But again, you have to say consistency is key for that podium. So an all community entries podium in GT3, and well deserved. However, also Flyers in P4 with 49 seconds adrift. Also a community entry. So you have to say, just shout out to all of those for having a wonderful race. Encephalosis in the wars P5 today. They'll have to say, thank God it happened in this race and not in a race where you score points for the championship. Reese in P6. Again, collected by a few GTPs during the race, but they managed to recover, and a well-deserved finish of the race. Solstice dragging it home across the line with one driving tyre, as far as I could see. In P7, Ben Serda finishes in the classified results anyway, although they were in the pit lane, with Chesnoid as well finishing a lap down in P8, P9. And VM Knoll, P11, 7 laps down, so retirees here with Auburn Kyle as well, P12, and Snowbrunch, P13, sadly not making the end of the race.
So those were those in GT3. We are going to get the chance, though, to talk to your race winner out there overall, Reska Kyoso, here with us now. Reska, critically, Long Beach is always a difficult one. Survival is the all-important name of the game to begin with, but as you sit and run that race, it's a case of the early stages, you had a tiny incident that put you back. The unsafety car got you back in and into control, and then the amount of chase down at the end, you must be sweating buckets.
Yeah, that was a tiring one, and yeah, I had that incident early on, and as you say, survival's important here, and that was like the first bit of traffic me and Josh went through, and I didn't really know what to do because they were side by side, but I made the wrong choice. Obviously, it went round, but yeah, I got a bit lucky the other way around with obviously Josh having his incident. And yeah, I don't know if I would have had enough to hold off Josh at the end with the chase, because he was coming and coming and coming, but yeah, obviously had another little incident there, and yeah, that was enough to just give me the buffer I needed, really.
How crucial was putting pressure mid-race on the other drivers to make them make mistakes? You seem to have a masterclass on doing it to Josh Merrin and then to Diemgal. They both had their incidents, but you didn't falter under pressure at the end.
Yeah, I mean, other than that incident early on, I had a pretty clean one. Oh, and I went deep into, I lost the lead going deep mid-race, didn't I, as well? So a couple of things, but thankfully, I mean, no damage from either. I don't think I had any damage the whole race, which is probably a good thing, right? If to come out on top in a race like this.
Coming out on top is going to be critical. You had your teammate helping you out there late on as the pressure was there with Josh Merrin. How much of that was a call on the radio to say, look, encephalosis, help a buddy out? Or were you just there just hoping that you were going to get that chance to see that gap build?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't in VC or anything, so I think I telepathically messaged him and he knew what to do. But yeah, so I was quite happy to see. It didn't help that much, but it was just a little bit of a hold up for Josh at least, so that's good.
And talking about the cars as well, after driving the IndyCar for nearly now a full season of Creator Series, how big of a difference or how big of a challenge was it jumping into a GTP car?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I do drive it occasionally elsewhere, but yeah, more experience in the IndyCar really, or more confident anyway. Especially here at Long Beach, this car is way more lazy in some places, but then it snaps on you in others. It's a really finicky car to drive around here. But yeah, I was able to just. I feel like I didn't quite have I didn't have the pace of Josh, for instance, but I was driving it in like a reasonably safe and consistent way that it seemed to like. So it was overall quite nice to me, the car today.
Right, we've talked about the great result you've had today. Your eyes cast over to Thursday. You've got a lead to go and work with going up against Brendan and Ches to move forward. How's the positivity going to be heading to Monza Historic? Yeah,
it's one of those races that's going to be who knows what's going to happen on the high banks of Monza. So going in with a lead is obviously ideal. It's never going to be enough of a lead, right? Unless it's already wrapped up, which it certainly isn't. So, yeah, best plot to be in, but we just got to try and get through that race somehow and come out with the best results we can and hope it's enough at the end of it, I think.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck. Reska Kyoso there joining us and picking up a huge win here today from Long Beach. John, final thoughts as we bring this show to a close.
It's amazing how in an endurance race of a few hours, so many little incidents at the start can grow and expand into a story that spans the whole race, and where you think at the end of it that if certain cars were in just a tiny different position, it could have had a different race result. That's the beauty of endurance racing, and that's why I love it. And this race had it all, didn't it?
It had everything. It had even the toughest of the tough to go out there and say, look, this is what racing is all about. It is tough, it is difficult, and we sim race because we love racing and we love the understanding of racing. But today from the entire team, Gareth Allen, who's been on production, from John Isamusing Harris, who's been alongside me, Jake Sperry, it is also a stark reminder that racing is dangerous. Racing is always something that you have to be very, very careful about. And the news in from the Nürburgring, the sad passing of Juha Miettinen, who was racing about in the NLS practice qualifying race that was going about. So, Juha, tulemme kaipamaan sinua, toivottavasti hidat onnellisesti Tadisa.